1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
About Justin Herbert, when things aren't calm around you, you become uncalm. That's me. Things start to get chaotic. Don't turn to me. I got none of that championship genealogy. I don't know if you do.
You know what?
When things start to go haywire, I'm like, oh crap.
I got to be honest. I am also very quick to panic.
Yeah.
I am not the calm person. It's like, oh wait, like an alarm goes off, I'm like headed to the door.
I think of myself, if I was an NFL quarterback and that rush was coming at me, to be able to stay in there at the last second until your receiver breaks open, whatever that is, I don't have it.
Yes, I was not born with it. I don't think you can acquire it.
Here are Maggie and Perloff.
Oh, what up? Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, it's Andrew Perloff, it's you. Okay, so there's only two sides of this, Perloff, and you've got to pick a side.
Okay.
You either believe that Aaron Rodgers was basically ghosted by the Packers, or the Packers wanted to move on. Maybe ghosted is too strong. You either believe that Rodgers says the organization wanted to move on from me, and you know what? That's okay.
Right.
Or you believe the Packers said, no, we tried to get in touch with you. We couldn't find you. We couldn't find you, Aaron Rodgers. You didn't return any of our calls, basically. This has now devolved into a he said. It's getting a little ugly here at the end between Rodgers and the Packers. No deal is imminent between the Packers and the Jets, so we still wait in limbo here. But who do you believe? Do you believe Rodgers, or do you believe Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Packers?
Well, I do. I'm positive the Packers wanted to move on. I mean, there's no. Yes. I mean, just basic logic says that they wanted to move on. I think they've
wanted to move on. Yeah.
They've wanted to move on. But I'm going to give Goody the edge here.
Okay.
And it's based on one simple fact. I don't totally trust Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he's not a very reliable narrator, so I would understand where you're coming up with
I like him, but that immunity speech kind of ruined his trust level for me.
Right.
So I think they were both fudging the truth, but I think Aaron's was a much more direct fudging.
Okay, I'm the total opposite. I think Rodgers is actually telling the truth on this whole thing, and I think the Packers are the ones who are in the wrong. So let's hear yesterday how we even got to this tete-a-tete, which is, I don't think I used that correctly. How we got to this he said, which is Brian Gutekunst, who was speaking at the owners' meetings, was talking about basically what happened with Rodgers. Why did it go south?
I didn't really take his comments like that, and it's certainly not true. I mean, I think, as we got out of the offseason or after the season, and we had a good conversation, and then, we're going to have some follow-up conversations. And our inability to reach him or for him to respond in any way, I think at that point, then we just kind of I had to do my job and kind of reach out and understanding that a trade could be possible.
Okay, so basically he's saying they had good conversations and that they tried to get in touch with Rodgers and they couldn't get in touch with him, right?
Yeah, okay. That sounds plausible.
Let's go to the Wayback Machine, shall we? Because let's go to 2 weeks ago. And this is the last time that Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show. And so here's Rodgers talking about the message from the Packers after the season.
We come off of last year. Everything that I was told in the week that I was in Green Bay was take as long as you want, and we want you to retire Packer. You want to come back and play. Obviously, the door is wide open. So that was the information that I was going on.
Okay, take as much time as you want. Then Rodgers went into the darkness And this was the most talked about darkness retreat in the history of darkness retreats, which I don't even know how long they've been going on for.
You only talked about darkness retreat.
Thank you. We only talked about the darkness retreat. Everyone in the world knew he was going in. We didn't know which day. That was a controversy. How long did he stay in? Was it 4 days? Was it 3 days? The whole sports world knew about the darkness retreat. So you have to think the Packers knew he was going off the grid into the darkness. Then Rodgers said, what happened after the retreat?
When I came out of the darkness, something changed. I'm not exactly sure what that was, but something changed. And I got back to my phone after 5 days off of it. I got back to the, hundreds of text messages and emails and all different things. I realized that there'd been a little bit of a shift, that there was some shopping going on, that they were interested in actually moving me.
You can't say that you couldn't get in touch with Aaron Rodgers when you knew that he was in the darkness retreat. Isn't this how it's set up? Like, it makes it seem like Rodgers went into the darkness and they said, well, we couldn't get a hold of you, so we had to go and shop you to the Jets.
Come on. That obviously means before the darkness retreat.
Okay, but they told him, Rodgers said, they said, take as long as you want. Okay,
well, maybe that part, well, listen, there's many ways to say take as long as you want. For example, I will say when we're getting ready to go out, I'm going to pull a husband-wife cliche to my wife. Take as long as you want. We can get there, whatever. Yeah. That doesn't really mean take as long as you want. So the season
means hurry up.
The season ended January 8th, and I'm assuming based on what Rodgers said, he was in Green Bay till about January 15th.
Something like that.
I just looked it up. The darkness retreat got out February 23rd. Yeah. So the Packers need to make their offseason plan because the league year is about to start. They probably wanted to talk to him before he went to the darkness. And I assume he was doing lots of things to get ready for the darkness retreat, packing his toiletries, doing all these things.
The little toothpaste,
Maybe what the Packers are saying, we needed to talk to him before he went into the darkness retreat and he blew us off.
I know.
Can you believe that?
Okay, but we all knew, or I think we all knew, the reason he was going into the darkness partially was to figure out what he wanted to do with his career. Remember, he told McAfee, 90% I wanted to retire going in, and then I was 90-10 retired when I went into the retreat. I came out, I wanted to play again. He might not have wanted to talk to them before because he wasn't sure of what his answer was going to be.
These are NFL personnel men. You're telling me that they're going to have one of their players say, I have to go into a darkness retreat to decide if I want to play anymore? These guys are like looking at cap numbers and how good guys run 40. They can't handle that kind of
what do you mean? Of course they can.
Bizarre new age medicine kind of thing. No, wait.
Listen,
you're telling me
Rodgers
Brian
has been in the building. Yes.
I don't know anything about Brian Gutekunst, but I'm based on the name that he's a Green Bay Packers executive named Brian Gutekunst. Yeah. That he's not up on new age treatments.
Listen, if you're not in the mood, get in the mood because your franchise quarterback is one of these new age spiritual guys. So you got to learn his language a little bit if you really wanted him to come back. Now, I don't think they ever really wanted him back, which is where this comes from.
Maybe he was 90% done February 23rd. And if you're the Packers, you need to know.
That's totally fine.
If all their information had been, he's going out, like they need to know before February 20th what's happening here. But they got to start doing their offseason.
Totally. And I understand it. But to say we just couldn't get a hold of him. We've been talking a lot over the last couple weeks and months maybe about Lamar Jackson, how he doesn't have an agent and how this makes it a little clunky and how this whole franchise, this trade request and all this stuff is going. You know who does have an agent? Aaron Rodgers. He's had one forever. You can find somebody who's in touch with Aaron Rodgers. Now, not during the darkness retreat. I doubt his agent's going to come and knock on his little hobbit door and tell him to come out because the Packers need an answer. But he's not somebody who's doing this in such a different way. He's got representatives. It's part of a massive agency. You can figure out, hey, man, this is where Aaron is. You just have to wait 4 days. It's not like you have to. Wasn't in the darkness for a month.
No. Come on. You really expect a professional organization to wait for some dude to come out of a darkness retreat? How did they know that he had made his decision? This is not a real thing, right? You're not saying they should have waited for the darkness retreat.
They totally should have waited for the darkness retreat.
The darkness retreat? What? They're running a football team, not a commune in Northern California.
And the thing is that Rodgers came out of the darkness, went on McAfee and said, I totally get it. And thanks for the memories, Packers, and blah, blah, blah. And then Gutekunst, had to go out of his way to, correct the record from his point of view or whatever. How about this? Let it go. If you really want to move on and you're not this worried about being right or whatever that even means, then let it go. And that's another reason why I side with Rodgers on this one. If you're the team and you're trying to execute this trade, how about this? You don't have to say a damn thing anymore because the guy's going to be off the roster in hopefully the next couple weeks.
Wow, it's not that simple.
It's called the high road, yo.
There's a couple of things. First of all, none of this.
Yo.
Ever heard of it?
Hey, you've never seen The Hobbit. How do you know what a Hobbit door looks like?
I actually have seen The Hobbit. I fell asleep. It was a very expensive nap I took.
So, yeah, it only won the Oscar. No big deal. It was only voted the best picture of 2006 or whatever year. So here's a couple things. Aaron Rodgers could retire, and Aaron Rodgers might not. Somebody's probably asking Aaron Rodgers to eat some money at some point. So they definitely couldn't just trade him. You know, they needed Aaron Rodgers on board, so they couldn't quietly trade him behind the scenes. But the other thing, too, is what does this tete-a-tete matter to anybody or anything? Like, who cares if Gutekunst and Rodgers are on different pages?
Well, it might not, but I think that Rodgers saying that the Packers are digging their heels in, that's where...
Oh, is that why Goody's doing this?
I think that's why he's doing this, because he's trying to basically say Rodgers wasn't telling the truth and doesn't know what he's talking about.
I was wondering, too, do you think that Gutekunst is trying to sell the fan base on the fact that they're moving on?
Yeah, but I don't think you had to. See, that's the miscalculation. We've talked to Packer fans. We're on in Wisconsin. We've talked to Packer fans. We have a good friend of ours who runs a Packers fan website. They were all ready to move on to Jordan Love. I don't think you had to sell the fan base. We've heard nothing from but Packer fans saying it's time for the Jordan Love era to start.
I don't know if that's true. We'll talk to. We're having Leroy Butler on later. Yeah. You really think all the Packers fans have moved on to Jordan Love?
I think enough of them where you didn't have to sell the fan base.
Well, I think you have to sell them in the sense if it goes terribly wrong, at least you can say we had our reasons. If Jordan Love isn't good, then you laying the groundwork for saying Rodgers kind of wanted out and was acting funny.
Well, listen, if Jordan Love really isn't good, you messed up as a front office because not only did you trade up to get him in the first round, but you had 3 years to develop him and never did it. So you were wrong. You were
well, regardless too, and bringing back Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be one more year of playoff disappointment. There was no future with Rodgers there. That's where I am. Do you think that they were going anywhere with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, if they had made the playoffs this year, you never know what could have happened.
Well, you kind of know when they're good with Aaron Rodgers. When they have a great team around Aaron Rodgers, they've been letting everyone down in the playoffs. I kind of doubt that this team was poised. It's just Rodgers and this team are at different stages of development. The team is young. Rodgers is old. So a trade made sense. I just have trouble believing Aaron Rodgers. If you're presenting it as a who's lying,
yeah,
I agree with you. Gutekunst did sound like he was telling his version of the story as well. But that being said, I kind of get it. I think the front office did the right thing moving on here, and I don't know how you do that easily with Aaron Rodgers. I think it's always going to be messy. But doesn't this remind you a little bit of Favre, though? Because Favre and the front office turned against each other at the end, too.
Definitely. There's so many shades of this, but different personnel now. Gutekunst wasn't there for Favre, right?
Oh.
It was Ted Thompson was there, right?
Yeah, I think Gutekunst has been there forever.
Oh, really? But not in this senior of a role.
Right, but it's still, I think it's definitely a Ted Thompson philosophy there.
Right.
And that's why they drafted Jordan Love. I think there's a continuity there.
And honestly, then they should know how this is going to go, which is you don't really have to trash the guy on the way out.
Why but the Packers, it just wasn't as much media then. That got kind of ugly at the end. Okay. They had to basically push Favre out the door. And I think Green Bay was doing that. Now, but why would Brian Gutekunst, as you said, if he has no reason to lie here, if he could have just taken the high road, why do you think he didn't?
I think he's trying to get his side out. I just don't believe his side, personally. I think that to say we couldn't get in touch with Aaron Rodgers, to me, sounds ridiculous. Like, really ridiculous. If you can't get in touch with them, did you try to call the agent? 18 years with them. You don't have a number of somebody else around you, and you know he's going in this darkness retreat. If you think it's stupid or not, that's not the point.
You know Rodgers would blow them off. You know Rodgers is capable of blowing off. This guy blows off OTAs.
The dark, he blows off OTAs. So does Brady.
There was 5 weeks before he got in the darkness. I guarantee he didn't return a call at that time. I mean, listen, you're good about it.
Okay.
We're going to Houston, and you're stressing out about that trip, and we have light. He's going into a 4-day darkness retreat. Can you think of all the details he has to do about that?
Okay, but here's the thing. If I really knew that our boss was trying to get in touch with you and couldn't get in touch with you, for some reason you just were not returning emails or calls, I would expect that he might call me and say, hey, have you heard from Perloff? Because you and I work closely together. There's other people you can call to see whether Rodgers is around.
But what if he calls you and then you can't get a hold of Perloff either?
Well, then we have to start panicking. But the thing is they didn't want to get in touch with Rodgers. Don't you see? They didn't want it. They didn't want him to call back. They didn't care. They were already going to work on trading him. They just needed him to buy into the Jets, and that already happened. They didn't want him back. That was all BS.
Yeah.
So, you got what you wanted. He's not going to be on the team. You don't have to kick dirt in his face and call him a liar.
I don't think – I'd be curious to hear people's thoughts. I don't think people are going to feel sorry for Aaron Rodgers here.
Listen, I get it.
And I don't even think that this tete-a-tete, like, it's so irrelevant at this point. People are so exhausted by this Aaron Rodgers story. I don't think anyone's going to side with Aaron Rodgers just because he's kind of used up his goodwill on this one. And also, I don't think – I think he's so much more visible than Gutekunst that I really like Brian Gutekunst barely figures into this. Rodgers is going to spin it his way. The honest thing is the Packers are in a better place and Rodgers is in a better place.
Yeah, now they just have to get it done. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Jay in Alabama's in the chat. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. It's where you can go if you want to watch the show and participate with the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers in the chat. So Maggie is no sci-fi game. You're right.
Hate sci-fi.
It's not that I hate it. I just don't choose it. Is that bad? I'm a Thrones watcher, though. I watch Thrones. I watched The Dragon. I watched the prequel.
That's definitely sci-fi.
Yeah, so I'm in. Sandra shrugged his shoulder. That was like an eye roll.
That's like saying, I don't know. You watch one thing and then you're like, I'm all in on sci-fi.
I'm not anti.
Well, you're anti all other sci-fi other than the one show that you kind of stumbled into.
Well, I mean, me and everyone else in America. Yeah, I just backed into this little show called Game of Thrones. I wouldn't read the books though.
Yeah, it's not
It's a very visual show.
Yeah, and also those books are huge. No way.
It's not like Lord of the Rings was a little indie film. It was only set every record in the book. Oh, you did see Lord of the Rings.
I did. I've seen them all three of them. Yes.
Did it debut at Sundance?
Yeah, that small indie hit. I saw all three Lord of the Rings, and I fell asleep in every single one of them.
Ooh, you're pretty cool.
Listen, try harder. I don't know. Don't make the fight scene so long. Bored. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, see you guys in the chat. See you guys on the phones. You want to weigh in on Aaron Rodgers? You're welcome too. Coming up, our long national nightmare might be over. We'll explain that in just a moment. We're across the country on CBS Sports Radio. We're streaming youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. And of course, the free Odyssey app is a great place to stream the show. Sirius XM channel 158. Come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. I put up a pejorative poll here, Maggie. We're allowed to do polls for 2 more weeks on Twitter. Isn't that the deal?
I think everything's changing after 2 weeks. I'm ready to just say goodbye to that platform forever.
Yeah, Elon is making polls illegal. I don't think anyone cares. But I put out, who do you think is more likely to be lying, Aaron Rodgers or Brian Gutekunst? First of all, I didn't put Packers GM Brian Gutekunst, so if you're not a pretty good NFL fan, you probably won't know who that is.
Okay.
But
already
and I
swaying
never
the
said
results.
and I also didn't say what they were talking about or what was doing. Aaron Rodgers is. Nice. Who do you think is more likely to be lying? Aaron Rodgers is running this.
This is the darkness retreat of polls. There's just no context, nothing. There's nothing around.
The old school NFL GM or the 40-year-old quarterback who has to decide whether he's going to play again in the 4-day darkness retreat. Who's more likely to be somebody that you don't trust? Aaron Rodgers is going to win that poll.
It would have been better if you just put who's more likely to be lying, Aaron or Brian, and just left it at that. No last names. Just let people guess.
Yeah. Honestly, you could put Aaron Rodgers in anybody in this poll. I think Aaron Rodgers is
going to win in a landslide.
He's going to win that poll.
It's not even going to be close.
But actually, lying is such a mean word.
Whose version of the truth do you believe?
That seems more accurate for this situation.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Speaking of the polls, we will get to our bracket of the worst stuff. We'll update that today. Let's get to Anthony in South Carolina. He's got a thought on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Anthony, what's up?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
We're doing great. What's on your mind?
Pretty much, all right. Well, listen, Maggie, you hit a nail on the head. I think this is like a bitter relationship that just the two of them, it's like a breakup that never ends. I want my sweater back. Oh, I tried to call you, but you're not answering your phone. And they always misdial. You know, there's an emergency contact. I don't think Rodgers is lying. I think the both of them are probably stretching the truth, being a little dramatic, but I don't think, like you said, it's not hard to find a man. You know what his schedule is. You can get in touch with his PR, his manager. You can probably even email the guy.
Thank you. And everyone in the world knew about the darkness retreat. I love that you went to the emergency contact. That's fantastic.
It's on there for a reason, right? I'm sure his wife stayed home, hanging out, hanging laundry, playing with the kids. Who knows? She's available.
Well, you know Rodgers isn't married, famously, right? He dates every.
Well, you know, he's a little estranged from his family, but that's a whole different thing. I mean,
no, that's a different thing. But yeah, he's famously single and dates a lot of famous people.
Seriously, who would be his emergency contact? Is it McAfee? AJ Hawk?
AJ Hawk.
Yeah, that's funny. His
I mean, it's not his family. He's not a girlfriend. I mean, maybe it's Blue.
The ayahuasca people.
Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah, the podcaster.
But
Tom Brady.
I don't know if super famous people like this, how they work, but I don't think it's a guarantee that you can reach Aaron Rodgers. He probably doesn't call back a lot of people.
You don't think the general manager would have a way to get to him?
I mean, we saw what he wrote back to Schefter. He doesn't respond back to a lot of people.
A lot of people have his number. And he said Diana Rossini got his number, too. His number is just out there.
I think, here's what I really think happened. I think Aaron Rodgers knew the Packers wanted him to take a huge pay cut and did not want to have that conversation.
Maybe not.
I think he blew them off. Not blew them off. I think he just put them off until he got out of the darkness retreat.
Yeah, if someone was looking at me and be like, well, we're going to need half of that $60 million, I might let it go to voicemail.
Yeah, I mean, also, too, he might have said, might have wanted to wait till he was out of the darkness retreat so he had an answer.
Exactly. But they knew he was going into that retreat to try to figure out if he wanted to play.
Well,
that's my point.
That's where I lose you a little bit because these are grown men and this is a business. This isn't.
But we all knew it.
But you don't know. You don't guarantee that Aaron Rodgers is going to make some conclusion in this darkness retreat.
Well, he did.
Darkness retreats are famously unpredictable.
Yes. Every darkness retreat I've been on, I come out and I know exactly what's going on.
If you're running a team, do you have to say, "Oh, well, we have to wait to find out what our quarterback discovers about himself in the darkness retreat before we move forward"? That's insane.
Okay, well then they shouldn't have given him the $150 million 2 years ago when they knew he was down this spiritual path. It's not like he's changed all of a sudden. They knew this is who he is. Yeah, he's a little quirky of a dude.
They screwed up last year, and now they're getting out of it.
And they are. Tim is in Oregon. He's a Packer fan. What's up, Tim?
Yeah, lifelong, man. Hey, I remember from 84 to 2004, we were below 500 for basically 20 years, and then Favre come along. And, if you look at those 20 years or 30 years since Favre and Rodgers started playing for the Packers, we won a Super Bowl by a touchdown over New England because Desmond Howard returned the kickoff, and we won a 6-point Super Bowl over Pittsburgh 12 years ago. We underachieved, and so I'm relieved that we're going to move forward. I'm very disappointed. Those two guys in all them years damn near lost both the Super Bowls they went to, and we lost to Elway when he was basically 39.
Tim,
when we were favored by 14 points that day against Denver Broncos years ago. And so we underachieved again. So, yeah, I want to move on.
I know, Tim, and I get where you're coming from. And when you look at the whole body of work, and thank you for the call, that you would say, damn, how did Brady and Belichick have 6 together? And the Packers have 2 with Favre and Rodgers. It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, do you think that Jordan Love is finally going to be that guy who you're going to cash in and get Super Bowl after Super Bowl? I don't know. You might just have to live with what happened in the last 25 years.
I think you'll get 1 Super Bowl win, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and call it a day, because that's what happens in Green Bay. And 15 years of getting the playoffs. Would you take that? Okay, Jordan Love's 24 right now. If I could guarantee you 1 Super Bowl win, another Super Bowl loss. Actually, yes. Rodgers didn't have a Super Bowl loss. Okay, good. So, people
Rodgers just has 1 appearance.
Right. Okay. So you get 1 Super Bowl win in 14 years.
I would just love 1 win.
So why this guy's complaining about Rodgers? You would have taken this.
But I get it because I've never watched my team win. Number 1, and 2, I don't have back-to-back franchise first ballot Hall of Famers.
No, the funny thing is, too, as these guys get better, your expectations rise. When Aaron Rodgers took over for Brett Favre, no one on earth would have said, wow, this is going to, 15 years of being the number 1 seed is going to be disappointing. There's no way.
No. And listen, you did get the one. It's better than none.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. That's kind of a loser's lament. Travis is in Oregon. Travis, I'm not exactly sure where you want to take this call.
I understand.
Okay.
Maggie.
I don't get what this means.
Maggie, come on.
It says on
What
the
did you think
screen
of it?
sci-fi versus fantasy, and I don't know what the difference is.
Fantasy is a very popular genre of books and movies.
And okay, well, Travis, you can go ahead.
Travis,
What's the difference?
Explain to this novice over here.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a real the way to easily remember it is sci-fi is short for science fiction. So like when you're talking about Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Dungeons and Dragons, that's fantasy, like elves, dwarves, trolls, and stuff, right? Wizards, that's fantasy. And then when you get into like traveling faster than the speed of light, or they're using lasers and technology and they're in space, that's sci-fi. So as an unofficial member of the nerd police, I just feel obligated to
You sound like the sheriff, not the member. Wait, Travis, hold on. What about Star Wars? Because I got Chewbacca on one hand, seems kind of furry, fuzzy, would kind of go in the fantasy category, but then you're also traveling at the speed of light, and then I'm in the sci-fi.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah, Star Wars is hard. Star Wars, I think it has its own genre. It's technically like a space opera, I think a lot of people call it.
Now, you guys, you're just moving the goalposts on me. Space opera. This is why. Travis,
Wait, Travis.
I love you for calling in, but
Travis, hold on 1 second.
Yes, this is why this is intimidating. You guys make it intimidating for people who have fell behind on this to catch up. You think that I'm shunning you. It's the other way around. You guys,
no, not at all. No, I just want to make sure that you know. Like you say, you don't like sci-fi. You could possibly love sci-fi. I just want to make sure you feel comfortable and know like what setting you're in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
good point.
Some people try to say Star Wars is not sci-fi too because they use the Force, which is like magic. But Obi-Wan does explain that it's an energy field.
Yeah.
So
hey, Travis, by the way,
got it.
You read some crazy science fiction out there. So you're telling me that there's science fiction where they use lasers? Because those are commonly used around everywhere today. I don't know if that falls into the realm of science fiction.
That's maybe like old school, like when it was like as Isaac Asimov, and before when 1984 was written, and now it's 2023 or whatever.
Would you say?
I've read that book.
Can you real quick, Travis? Do you agree with me that the best science fiction and the best fantasy often is just a way to critique modern society, and that's why it's so
definitely what 1984 is about.
And that's why dystopian stuff is so popular. And there are some that like blur the line, like Dune. Dune is fabulous. I don't think you could call that one or the other because there's lots of like mysticism, and he almost goes on a darkness retreat in that, and comes out like all powerful. But then they're traveling, through space too. So it's just a fun world to live in. And but anyways, and I did have one quick Aaron Rodgers comment, if I could make it really fast. As a huge Niners fan,
go ahead.
We've been through the transition of Hall of Fame quarterback to Hall of Fame quarterback, and all you do, you just sit back and you enjoy it. Don't. As a fan, like, ignore all the drama. Just be happy you got Super Bowls. Be happy you got quarterbacks that you're actually going to remember and did something, and just enjoy it. That's my advice.
All right, Travis, appreciate that.
Can you imagine if the Steve Young, Joe Montana thing happened in today's media world? Oh, my gosh, heads would explode.
I mean, if we knew that Jordan Love was going to be a Hall of Famer, that's basically what we would have. Right.
Wow,
he
right.
Well, sitting behind Favre.
Right, but
sitting behind Rodgers, pardon me.
Imagine if you had the greatest quarterback of all time and you had this former number one pick who was a complete burnout who went to the USFL. It would just be chaos.
It was chaos then. It'd be double chaos now.
I mean, Jordan Love is not Steve Young, right? Imagine if Jordan Love was accomplished.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what it would be like, right? If Jordan Love was
it'd be crazy. I think everything seems bigger now. But I do wonder, sorry, one more thing on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Are we sort of pounding this into the ground where people are going to forget who the winners and losers are? At the end of the day, I feel like Gutekunst and Rodgers are information overloading us. So at the end of the day, we're all ready for the move. This is sort of feels like a breakup that's playing out publicly. And now I don't know anyone who wants them to stay in Green Bay. That's done.
Well,
now everyone kind of wants them in Jets, like nationally.
I think that the only way you get the winner and the loser out of this is just like how it happened in New England. If Rodgers goes to the Jets, and if they're successful, he's going to look like the winner. And what happened in New England that first year? They went to the playoffs. Bills beat them pretty badly. And New England now is like floundering. We have no idea if they're in on Lamar Jackson. Maybe they are. Maybe that saves them. But like right now, New England's kind of down, and Brady went and won a Super Bowl right away. And I think most people declare Tom Brady the quote-unquote winner. So the same thing's going to happen here. If Rodgers goes to the Jets and they have an all-time great season or something, people will declare Rodgers as the winner and that the Packers messed up.
Right, but there's also a great chance the Jets don't make the playoffs.
Totally.
And the Packers go on another 10-year run. Which do you think is more likely?
I don't see another 10-year run. I got to be honest. And I'm really just playing the odds here on this one.
Yeah.
Haven't seen enough of Jordan Love to make any kind of determination. Just what are the odds that the team is going to have 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers and then go right into another amazing quarterback? Like, that just, it would be so mind-blowing.
Yeah, but no, it would not be mind-blowing.
What's that?
Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets and something going wrong.
And it flames out spectacularly.
Well, no, it'd be mind-blowing if that's not exactly what happened. I think they're going to have one good year with the Jets, and he's going to move on to a new team next year and be awesome. And you know what I'm basing
you love this. You call it the Favre ending.
It's going to be Favre. He's going to be 9-7, even though they play 17 games this year. They're going to be okay. They're probably, I'm sure their win total is 10 and a half. They'll end up right around there.
I believe the Jets had the highest increase in win total projections in terms, I think it was like 5 more wins with the Rodgers news. Something like that.
What?
From preseason, from the end of the offseason, when they were not rumored to get Rodgers at all, to when they got rumored to get Rodgers. I believe I got an email from our folks at Bet Online.
They went up 5 games?
I think so. I got to double check it.
Well, regardless, they're going to be 11-6 or 10-7.
Am I taking this phone call? Give me a shrug. All right. Phil's in Pennsylvania. I'm told.
You guys called for Chewbacca, so there you go. I gave you a good one.
Phil, you're a treasure. Yeah.
I try to be, but honestly, I think they're both telling the truth, and here's why. I think Aaron Rodgers.
Can you do it in the Chewbacca voice? Can we only hear your Rodgers take doing some kind in a Chewbacca impersonation?
Well, there is no such thing. You have to actually be able to speak Wookiee in order to understand Chewbacca.
Or you need a
Samter speaks Wookiee. It's okay.
Or we need a translator droid too. That would do it.
You will need a translator, but Aaron Rodgers and the other guy, I think they're both telling the truth. I think Aaron Rodgers blocked their phone number, so from Aaron Rodgers' side, he was being ignored. But the other guy calling him actually tried to call him, but he was blocked and he didn't know.
What a 2023 story. Blocked his number. Can we get a little Chewbacca on the way out?
What was that?
Can we get a little Chewbacca on the way out?
Absolutely. I have a lot more voices, but this is just one.
Can you call in with another one tomorrow, Phil? Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I know. It was good, actually.
I need to know what his other voices are.
Are they other Star Wars voices? Or?
I mean, this is Phil. I mean, he's sending jerseys.
Yoda's
he's
a
doing
pretty easy
Chewbacca.
one.
We have no idea what this guy can do.
Can you do Yoda?
I cannot do Yoda, but anyone who can do any kind of impersonation can do Yoda.
I think my 3-year-old kind of talks like Yoda, but not on purpose.
You mean his sentence construction or his voice?
He's like, cookie I want, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's where I think they came up with Yoda. Somebody had a 3-year-old at home. Yeah. Can you do Yoda? You already have the sentence.
No. Cookie I want.
I knew you could. Not bad. That's not bad.
Not good, but not bad.
Your words said no, but everything in your body said, I want to try this.
I was so quick to the no. I was like, can I do this?
She's all about those space operas.
I know, space opera. Come on. Travis, love you, but come on. Moving the goalposts on me a little bit.
Give me an Ackerman sports break he will have. Or no.
Can Ackerman do the whole sports update in the voice of Yoda? We all find out together in 3, 2, 1.
Sports Flag.
I wish I could. Hate to let you down. Professional sports teams are setting records for sales, with the Broncos recently getting more than $4 billion, and the Washington Commanders could shatter that record by a lot. A group that includes Magic Johnson and Sixers co-owner Josh Harris has submitted a bid for more than $6 billion to buy the team. Orlando police are investigating an alleged post-game incident involving Bradley Beal and a fan that lost a bet. The fan allegedly yelled an expletive at Beal as he was leaving the court. The Wizards star then apparently turned around and engaged with a friend of the fan and allegedly made contact with him. The Nets are shutting down Ben Simmons for the remainder of the year. He's been out the last month with nerve impingement, and right now there are no plans for surgery. Simmons did have a procedure last summer He played in just 42 games this year. The Warriors have not played at a championship level in their latest title defense. In fact, it's barely been good enough to make the playoffs. They'll host the Pelicans tonight, with Golden State currently sitting 7th in the West, a half game behind the Clippers. The Grizzlies go for their 7th straight tonight against the Magic. They trail Denver by 3.5 games for the top spot in the Western Conference. I'm Rich Hacker.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, unfortunately, we are not in Phoenix for the owners' meeting, not because I want to be around those NFL owners, but it did look very pretty. Now, this is a place called the Biltmore.
Yeah.
You seem to know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few Biltmores around
okay.
the country. They're pretty swanky.
Oh, it's just like a Four Seasons. Okay. So the rules came down, and there wasn't anything super, super sexy. But here's an interesting one.
Hell of a radio tease.
Yes. NFL owners tabled the Eagles' proposal to create a 4th and 20 alternative to the onside kick. Not voted down. Further discussion will be needed and had. So they're going to look at the 4th and 20 instead of the onside kick. Are you in favor of this wacky rule?
Right. So instead of doing the onside kick, which the odds of converting that are basically 0.00, you would instead have to convert a 4th and 20. I mean, I like it. I guess.
I kind of like it too because the onside kick stinks. I don't like the onside kick anymore. It's too hard to say change the rule.
Basically, there's 2 that convert a year.
And in the XFL, the one that they've been testing is a 4th and 15, which I always felt was too short because 4th and 15 is much more convertible than an onside kick. 4th and 20 feels a little bit more
Wait, do they make a lot of them? Actually, I have not watched a lot this season.
Well, we do remember A.J. McCarron converted that 4th and 20, 4th and 15 onside kick in the first game that became legendary in his comeback. But 4th and 15...
Using the term legendary pretty loosely over there.
We called him a warrior yesterday for his pinky. So
Perloff,
yeah. But I do think 4th and 20 makes more sense than 4th and 15.
I feel like the Bills are in 4th and 20 my whole life. But anyway, they have something for that play.
Okay, a couple more little ones kind of detailed. They will now have one cutdown day instead of the tiered cutdown days that we know from
Hard Knocks.
I never understood those tiered. Is that because something about how much room there is in the locker room? Of course they should have one cutdown day. Why do they always have those weird cutdown days?
No, they had the cutdown thing when there was 4 preseason games. There was like a tiered system. Now that there's 3, you don't really have the time or the necessity to need to have
multiple cutdown days because they need multiple crying shots for the HBO cameras. I mean, the other thing is that the roughing the passer is not going to be reviewable.
Right.
So that's a big one too, because I think that the roughing the passer is the most visible of, the things that people gripe about the most because it's so off. Generally both ways. Like guys get creamed and nothing happens, and then guys get barely touched and you get 15 yards and a first down.
Right, and I think the reason is the NFL is always thinking about litigation against concussions. So any rule that they go overboard to protect anyone's health, they like.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So they don't want to make that reviewable because they do not want people touching their quarterback. It's good for business, having the quarterback on the field. For some reason, it doesn't work, though.
No, they still have all these injuries to quarterbacks all the time. I'm sorry, the XFL made me think of something. We've got the sound from the XFL game. Can we play this? Because we're talking about XFL, because we're talking about referees, this is an actual thing that happened during the... Who was playing in this game? Sure. You don't need to know who was playing in this game for this clip to be funny. Go ahead.
Sportsmanlike on number 3, White, for scoring me with water.
Where was he? On the sideline?
Correct, behind me.
Number 3, squirting you in the water. He got it. What's the result of the play? Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense, number 3. He squirted the down judge with a water bottle.
What? That was D.C. against Houston, which is where we're going to be on Thursday and Friday. Squirted the ref with a water bottle.
He squirted the down judge with a water bottle.
I love that he announced it to the crowd also. Usually he's like unnecessary roughness, and they don't say like unnecessary roughness kicking him in the face. They just say unnecessary roughness. The fact that they announced the exact reason is fantastic.
I love it. The more detail we can get on these things, I think the better.
Yeah, so what's a famous NFL one for giving him the business? Yeah. This is the XFL version of that.
It's so good.
He squirted the down judge with a water bottle.
Also, though, maybe that should be more than just 15 yards. I mean, more than just an unsportsmanlike. That's pretty egregious. I know it's like you're not going to get hurt or anything, but you can't squirt somebody with a water bottle. That's not okay.
Well, and like, who's to say that he was squirting him intentionally? Maybe he just squirted and missed and then hit the judge. I've missed my face.
The magic water is like what? Paused in midair, took a left and hit the ref.
No, but like, let's say you're coming off the field, you grab a water bottle, you go to squirt it, and some of it splashes off your face and hits the guy in the back of the neck.
You're telling me that you often go to squirt water in your mouth through a water bottle and miss?
I mean, have you not seen the movie Airplane?
Yes, that was a gag.
By the way, I don't usually squirt water out of a water bottle. Do you guys do that in a certain circumstance?
Well, I would if I was on a team because you're probably sharing water bottles, right? Maybe not post-COVID. You probably don't. Guys like Squeeze, they don't like touch their mouth.
Walking, maybe they got bumped into. You never know what's going on. What's more egregious? This guy getting a penalty for squirting a ref, or JT Realmuto getting ejected for moving his glove out of the way of the umpire?
I know. It's a hard thing to explain because it's a real visual type of situation, but the umpire tried to put a ball in JT Realmuto's glove. Realmuto thought the guy was actually throwing it back to the mound, and so he moved his glove away, and the ref banged him from the game.
Yeah. Phillies will get him back. That's called karma.
No, the guy's like he's a triple A judge.
That guy wasn't even
umpire.
A major league umpire.
I think he's mostly triple A, is what I heard.
Well,
now he's forever triple A.
Honestly, I haven't seen an umpire get that much heat in years since that guy ruined the perfect game.
Jim Joyce.
Jim Joyce, yeah.
And basically.
But I get it. I've been like that as a dad, where I just having a bad day, and maybe my daughter drops a Triscuit or something, and I'm like, "That's it, you're grounded for a week."
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's a pretty light crime.
I'm also like, no wonder she thinks The Shining is a comedy. What's going on at your house?
No. I mean, listen, someone's got to be the boss.
Yeah, way to lay down the law, Dad.
Wait, you didn't let me finish my rules because I have some
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Here.
Jeez, sorry.
No, I'm totally joking. I want to read these inane ones and tell me what any of these mean or if they're experienced. Okay. Rule 15, Section 1, Article 2. They're allowed to expand the replay's official to allow for a review of failed fourth down attempts. Huh?
You couldn't do that already?
I have no idea. What are they talking about?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Just go with Belichick. Everything should be reviewable.
To make the penalty for tripping a personal foul. It already is.
I thought it is a personal foul.
Yeah, I don't understand that. To change the definition of a launch to leaving one or both feet.
I thought it was that.
I thought it was that too.
Maybe it's just with the crown
Maybe
of
they're
the head.
upholding these? No, these are approved playing rules summary. Okay.
Great, more things
to
for us
prevent
to complain
offense
about.
from benefit. Here's a good one. To prevent the offense from benefiting by an extension of the half as a result of their foul. That wasn't a rule already?
God, I don't even know what you're talking about.
These are all the rules that got passed today. To clarify the use of the helmet against an opponent by removing butt, ram, or spear language from Article 8 and incorporating those actions into the impermissible use of the helmet. These people have too much time on their hand, don't they? What is the deal with the competition committee?
I didn't know you could do all that with a helmet.
But this is what's going to change. This is what's going to cost the Bills the Super Bowl.
What's that? Great.
This is an approved bylaw summary by competition committee to insert strength of victory as the second tiebreaker for awarding contracts.
Wait, what?
I have no idea.
Wait, why is that going to cost the Bills?
I'm just kidding around. Because these inane
like
NFL
they give
rules.
out contracts. Wait, say that again?
Okay. They are inserting strength of victory as a second tiebreaker for awarding contracts.
Right. So the tiebreaker for awarding you mean playoffs? Like when it goes to the tiebreaker, common opponent, division record? Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know. What is it? What are contracts? There's 28 more of these.
Oh, God.
No. Here's one. Last one.
My brain can't take
last one that's interesting. The Los Angeles Chargers have a resolution to provide greater clarity as to a player's availability for a game.
Now that I like for fantasy purposes.
And gambling, right?
Gambling purposes,
That's a gambling one. And I kind of get that because I feel like teams mess around with that a little bit.
Yeah, especially the Chargers. Are you sure you want us knowing about all your injuries? Like, sorry, our team doctor punctured the lung of our backup quarterback. I'm sorry, he was a starter at the time.
Yeah. Well, I do think that teams, as we started off the hour, like to misinform people. They like to stretch the truth.
Definitely. And with injuries, it's like basically, and I think it's a disservice to the athlete when a guy gets upgraded from like doubtful to questionable. We're like, oh, he's definitely playing. And if he doesn't look 100%, we're like, oh, what was wrong with him? It's like,
Oh, I'm totally that way. If I read the guy goes upgraded anyway, to me,
I'm like, oh, he's playing.
He's playing. Then
and
if
that's
he doesn't
probably
play,
not right because it probably puts pressure on the guys to come back, even though they're, basically mangled.
Right. Although, unless it's LeBron James, who went miraculously from out to doubtful to questionable all within 4 hours. Did you see that on Sunday?
Listen, he's the LeBron James of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, he is the LeBron James of foot doctors.
Yeah.
But then he yelled at Woj 3 days ago for saying he's coming back.
Honestly, if Woj told me something was happening in my own life, I'd believe it. Woj was like, you're getting a turkey sandwich today. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I guess I am.
So if Woj broke news on Maggie Gray, even if you didn't know it, you would believe it?
100%. I'd just be like, I guess I'm the last one to know today. I believe Woj over my own family.
How about Shams?
It's Shams too.
Yeah, me
Schefter,
too.
Rappaport, believe them all. The only person who doesn't know what's going on is me. Coming up next, Leroy Butler is a Hall of Famer, former Packer.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I'm not seeing an overwhelming desire for Perloff to show off the leggings.
That's weird. Is it some sort of technical difficulty?
We'll see if there's any kind of glitch. Someone said leggings should not be in a man's wardrobe.
Performance pants.
See, that doesn't sound right either. Performance pants.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way,
sound like
going down a road I do not want to go down to. Yeah.
Don't take Viagra, just performance
pants from Romans. You know,
they're sent to you in a discreet package.
What kind of package?
Medium, small.
Here are Maggie and Perloff.
So glad to have you on Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Across the country on CBS Sports Radio. We're also streaming youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Come on in, get involved in the chat, say what up to the Weedos. Everyone's talking about this story, which we'll get to a little bit later, how a restaurant in Australia or scientists in Australia have created a meatball made out of woolly mammoth DNA and cells.
Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah, they didn't dig up a woolly mammoth. I don't even think you'd do that, but it was like the cells of the woolly mammoth, and they wanted to show how you can use different cells to create different type of meat and things like that.
So you could theoretically eat a Tyrannosaurus Rex burger.
Something like that, yeah. I don't know how far they can take it back, but they can take it back to a woolly mammoth.
For some reason, I'm okay with a dinosaur, but a woolly mammoth, it feels like there's lint on the meatball or something. Anyway.
You want to eat a dinosaur? Anyway, all right, we'll table that for a second because we want to welcome in our guest for today. And sorry, Leroy Butler, the Hall of Fame safety for the Packers. Apologies for that introduction. I don't know if you have a thought on a woolly mammoth meatball.
I just stay in my lane, talk about stuff I know about. If it's stuff I don't know about, sometimes
it's okay, Leroy. None of us know about this. It's ridiculous. But thank you so much for jumping on with us today, because when there's Packers stuff that happens, we always love getting your opinion on things. And, you know, this one's interesting because you got Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Packers, comes out yesterday at the owners' meetings and basically says, we couldn't get a hold of Aaron Rodgers, and we had to move on and try to find a trade. Does that sound right to you, that they wouldn't be able to get a hold of Rodgers?
Oh, absolutely. I think it, and actually, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of proud of the way that Brian Gutekunst has handled this, because I think for the most part, if you take the two guys that's really dominating the headline, Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers, which trade you think was handled the best? You know, Lamar said, March 2nd, I kind of let them know or whatever I want to be traded. But Rodgers, you have to do it in his world. So when he wants to go into the darkness and don't communicate with the team, I mean, I was glad they got frustrated, because I live here in the state of Wisconsin. I was like, sooner or later, they're going to get sick and tired of just not responding for the most part. And when Brian said he couldn't get a hold of Aaron, I believe him because they really don't have to do that, But at some point, you can only take so much disrespect when you're trying to pay a player $60 million. I mean, what are you upset about? What's the issue that's working out? And it seemed like to me the communication broke down, but it takes two people to communicate, and Brian indicated that wasn't happening on Aaron's end.
Leroy, do you think at the end of the regular season, after the loss to the Lions, at that point the Packers probably had planned for Aaron Rodgers to come back?
Yeah, I think they did, because if you go back, when they gave him, after the MVP season, we got to be fair about this. When they gave him the 3-year, $150 million guarantee, a lot of people were like, why are you doing that? But they wanted to show their appreciation for what he's done. So when you lose to Detroit twice, okay, and you win 4 straight, and you got them at home, you're thinking with a Hall of Fame quarterback, this is a done deal. But no, you have to give Detroit credit for winning that game. The Packers, since Matt LaFleur has been there, have always had one of the better teams, but never could get to a Super Bowl. So they don't. The good thing about the Green Bay Packers, they don't judge you based off of that. They want to try it again with their best players. So they gave him every opportunity. But he also said, guys, and we got to be fair about this, I will not hold them hostage. I will not do this. I'm going to make a decision. I don't know if I want to play. You went through that with Brett Favre. They gave you the $150 million not to waffle. So I was glad that somebody, because that's what the frustration with the Packers team and fans are like, oh, wait a minute. I thought we paid him not to go through this again. So, and if you think, and be fair again, Gutekunst has to run a business. He can't sit for 9 weeks waiting around to see what you want to do. So, hey, listen, if you don't want to communicate with me, okay, listen, we got to make some phone calls. And you found one with the Jets, a partner, try to get this thing done, and now they got to figure out the compensation.
Leroy Butler is our guest. He's a Hall of Fame safety, former Packer, and a guest right here on the Maggie and Perloff show. So, Leroy, our colleague Zach Gelb had an interesting report that, Rodgers had these meetings with Matt LaFleur, and sometimes he was a no-show in those meetings, and maybe indicated that perhaps it was like a little bit of a mind game. Does that sound like something you've heard before, or did that ring true to you?
I've never heard that, but I'll say this about Zach. He don't just make stuff up.
No doubt.
Somebody probably did tell him that. I mean, Zach Galva is one of the best you can get when it comes to a guy, because everybody likes him. So sometimes he may get a phone call, and, if you ask the right question to the right source, you'll get the right answer. And that's just, but if you look at some of the interviews that Rodgers have had over the years, he's always want to do kind of things kind of his way. He kind of want to do this and that. He's telling you all the answers. You just have to figure out how do you make this offense. But up until last year, number 1 in the league in scoring and, 2 MVPs, what happened? Because you're still the same guy. And then what backs up Zach's point in a way is when Aaron, and it's semantic how you want to look at it, that I can be MVP again. But I got to do it my way. So, and if that's the case, that really makes me really respect Matt LaFleur, because Matt LaFleur really could have threw him under the bus and say he's hard to deal with. But Matt LaFleur's always said that he loves working with Aaron Rodgers, and he's always had a lot of admiration for him. So it's just one of those things. And that don't make Aaron Rodgers a bad guy, by the way. Because we let all quarterbacks do this stuff. Tom Brady do the same thing. Tom Brady got his coach fired, allegedly. Because he wants to work with this guy and want to work with this. I have no problem with it if it works. All 32 quarterbacks, we give them daylight to kind of get what they want. Because we pay them the most money. We don't mind when they said some weird stuff about the organization, and you're okay with it. So all quarterbacks do pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's a good point about Brady with Bruce Arians. Yep.
Absolutely. We're talking to Leroy Butler, Hall of Famer, former Packers great. So I woke up this morning and saw a really funny tweet from you, and can I quote it? I heard a great joke today. quote, the New York Jets roster is better than the Packers roster, crying emoji, crying emoji. Now, it's funny. I think a lot of people in the national media think the Jets might have a better roster, but you think that's hysterical.
Listen, it was 7-10. Okay. So now you're saying your roster is better, but you want my quarterback. Just think about that. You haven't had a relevant quarterback since Joe Namath. So now y'all think that the only thing missing is a quarterback. Okay, fine. Say you believe that. You ain't going to no Super Bowl because where you play in the AFC is one of the toughest divisions. So my thing is, where's all this talent? I just don't see it. And I don't know if they know the history of Aaron Rodgers. You can Google it if you want. I don't think he said doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild and doesn't like working out with young guys in the offseason. Where's this chemistry going to come from? Hey, listen, I like Sauce. I love the young man, the running back.
Yeah, Breece Hall.
I even like the head coach. But if you're telling me that roster is better than the Packers, we got to respectfully disagree. Now, I think the Jets fans, who are passionate fans, they're going to come to the reality of the only way you've been relevant because you had my two quarterbacks, Brett Favre, and now you're getting Aaron Rodgers. Other than that, we wouldn't even be talking about the Jets.
Leroy Butler is our guest. Last one for me, Leroy, and thanks for making time for us today. We always appreciate your perspective on things, your expertise. So we've had a lot of conversations about leverage in this Rodgers negotiation, who has it, who doesn't. I don't know if that conversation is even germane right now, but do you think there is part of the Packers that wants to get this deal done before the draft so that they can actually, use one of these draft picks they're going to get from the Jets to build their roster for this year?
I think if you really look at it, the Packers have two quarterbacks. The Jets don't have none. They took a young man, real high. They don't even want him to be on the team. Matter of fact, the Jets fans don't even want him. They're desperate, okay? You're totally desperate. So if you got the 13th pick and you're holding on to that, but if you really believe in your heart, the owner, Mr. Douglas, and Robert Saleh, if you really believe in your heart you're one quarterback away, give away the 13th pick. You're going to win the Super Bowl because that's what you think. Your roster is that great. You're just missing a great quarterback. The Rams did it. They won a Super Bowl. Now they're struggling now, but they won a Super Bowl. I've been in the Super Bowl, guys. It's amazing because you get a reset for 5 years to kind of do it again. So if you really think that you're going to win a Super Bowl in the AFC and beat Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh, if you think that, give up the 13th pick and bet on yourself because they don't believe it. That's why they don't want to give it up. They need that 13th pick to try to get somewhere. They need it. If you really believe that, give it up. Or give it up at all the draft picks. Get the guy that you want, Aaron Rodgers, and just let everybody go their way.
Leroy, one last question. Now, hopefully we'll ask you this again. We'll have you on before the season. But the end of March, what should we expect out of Jordan Love right now?
Okay, let's be fair. Aaron Rodgers' first year when he took over Brett Favre, he went 6-10. Nobody said a word because he was tired of the drama. And if I'm correct, that the roster that the Packers have, Jordan Love, can he be Brock Purdy? Can he be Daniel Jones? Matter of fact, can he be Taylor Heineke? I mean, can he be any one of these? Geno Smith? Geno is a Pro Bowler. Look, put him to the side. Look at all these quarterbacks. They ain't all pro. They ain't Hall of Famers, but they win because it's a system. And that system is what Kyle Shanahan is doing, of course, and it's the same system. Now Matt LaFleur can run his system the way he wants. He can use the two running backs. He can use Christian Watson play action, go down the field. The defense is going to be pretty good. So now you can run your stuff. And I'm telling you guys, trust me, when you can wake up every morning with no drama and no stress, that's the best life of all time. So the stress, the Jets, y'all can have it. Struggling when you have to explain to your fan base you gave up a lot or just even a little to try to get to the Super Bowl and you're still not there. the Packers, they're going to be fine with Jordan Love.
Leroy, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Congrats again on the Hall of Fame. I know we've done that before, but congrats again. Well-deserved, and we hope to catch up with you soon.
Thank you so much. I always appreciate coming on your show.
Appreciate you. Leroy Butler, the best. I mean, I get it. I get the frustration.
Yeah.
I do understand it.
And it's interesting. He keeps on citing the Brett Favre situation. Just a parallel. It's getting tiring to have Aaron Rodgers still there. I think it's going to be a fresh start for Green Bay. I think I know people want to make it a winner and a loser. I think it could be a win-win. I think that the Packers. I mean, come on, the Packers lost to the Lions in Week 18, and the Lions weren't playing for anything. Obviously, I think they'd hit the end of the road, or they were close with Rodgers.
Oh, definitely. And I think Rodgers even admits that, right? He said, when I was walking on the field with Randall Cobb, I had a feeling this was going to be the last time I'd walk off in a Packers uniform. Did you get a little sense there that maybe Leroy not that convinced it's going to work out that well in New York with Rodgers?
Yeah. Well, I think...
Did say they're a good team. We know they're a good team.
Yeah.
He doesn't think as good as the Packers, but...
Well, he brought up a really great point that we all know. It's the AFC, Maggie.
Yeah.
It is loaded.
I know.
That division is loaded.
And a little be careful what you wish for kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're bringing in somebody and you get the whole package.
Well, I mean, you know how I feel about this. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I take 20% less money to go to the NFC South.
Just walk to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and then you get another big contract, and you don't get hit as much because it's the NFC South. They can't even tackle in that division. They'll never catch Lamar Jackson. But the same thing with Rodgers. This is hard. The NFC North has been down. Now he's going into this division. Even if he's good, it's not doesn't guarantee anything.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. If you missed any part of our interview with Leroy Butler, you can always download the Maggie and Perloff podcast. It's a lot of fun. If you are watching us, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, hit the subscribe button, and we'd be forever grateful. Of course, you can listen to us across the country on our amazing CBS Sports Radio affiliates. We will be in Houston on Thursday and Friday for the men's Final Four, getting you set for the men's Final Four.
No, that's going to be exciting. I think what I'm excited for the most, besides the basketball, the barbecue too.
Can we get a mammoth meatball? A woolly mammoth meatball? I can't even say that. A woolly mammoth meatball.
Well, I think you would do a brisket from the ribs of a woolly mammoth. That's the kind of thing. I mean, they'll cook up anything at these places. Alligator, woolly mammoth,
hand them your
pork.
Shoe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if with the right sauce, you can make woolly mammoth delicious.
So this Australian company, it resurrects the flesh of lost species to demonstrate the potential of meat grown from cells. Yeah. Got all that?
Yeah, that's very disturbing on a big picture sense.
No kidding.
When there's not real food and we're dealing with fake woolly mammoth.
The company has already investigated the potential of more than 50 species, including alpaca, buffalo, crocodile, kangaroo, peacocks, and different types of fish. The first cultivated meat to be sold to diners will be Japanese quail.
Ugh, disgusting.
That's all right. It's only going to be in Singapore, so unless you plan to be in that part of the world,
I just think
you can avoid it.
You know, it's one thing to genetically modify food. That's pretty awful. But then to genetically modify existing animals like chicken is gross. Right. But this is out of control.
Do you remember when there was a famous, I'm not going to say it, but there was a famous company that's known for furniture you have to put together, and people found out that there was horse meat in the meatballs? And everyone went totally berserk.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in other parts of the world, they actually do eat horse meat. But to Americans, that really freaked us all out.
Rightfully so. And I think it's pretty obvious who you're talking about.
Yeah.
By the way, you started
rhymes with Schmeikia.
Right before. So, Leroy Butler, Hall of Famers on Hall of Famer Leroy Butler's on hold, and you go, now the story everyone's talking about. I wasn't aware, with everything going on in the world, this woolly mammoth burger. Was it a burger?
It's a meatball.
Meatball.
I mean, it could be a burger. That was probably maybe you want to put more maybe it's more like a tomato sauce.
You could make a chili. Woolly mammoth chili.
There you go.
That's what our great ancestors used to live off of.
Yeah. When did the woolly mammoth go extinct?
I don't know. They were in, what's that movie with the Ice Age?
Yeah, that's
Ray Romano plays a woolly mammoth.
Yeah, that's our only reference to this. You know, there's famous bulls in Spain and Mexico, where they do bullfighting, and the famous line of the bull, the DNA comes from the woolly mammoth. and they're still around today. Bet you guys didn't know that.
Wow.
I know. I went to a bullfight once. Would not recommend. 855-212-4CBS.
I could guess how it ended.
It's not a fight. 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, did Robert Kraft tip his hand on who the heir apparent is to Bill Belichick? And are things warming up between Lamar Jackson and the Patriots? So we've got updates all around. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. You know, I think when you're looking for a job or anything, you got to be really aggressive. You got to network. You got to get out there. And I think that's true for the NFL. It seems to be the way guys are going about their business right now. What's the latest, Maggie?
Yeah, I just saw this from Josina Anderson, our good friend. She said, I'm told free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has arrived at the Biltmore, where the owners' meetings are happening, with plans to talk to at least the Ravens, per him.
At least the Ravens?
Yeah.
Wait, the Ravens are in the middle of this whole Lamar Jackson thing.
Yeah, I guess maybe does signing Odell Beckham maybe take the trade request off the table?
What?
See, I always kind of thought the Ravens were okay with the trade request, because if they really wanted Lamar Jackson, don't you think they would have gotten a deal done? By letting him get the franchise tag, like they've kind of told him, like, we're okay with how this works out.
Right. You said this yesterday. The non-exclusive tag is basically saying, okay, go find a home.
Yeah.
We're good. But Odell, I don't think, and I understand when you're saying maybe Odell there, it'll get Lamar excited and he'll finally have wide receivers. But I think, you're looking at Baltimore, Odell coming off that injury, that to me is not the most secure situation. It feels like that's a team that all their receivers have had trouble staying healthy. So you're bringing Odell Beckham Jr. in here. I don't know. What about, I thought the Giants and Odell were talking. I thought the Jets and Odell were talking.
I think.
Why the Ravens? Why is that the one team he cited?
Well, I don't know, but I guess, they need some help. Who'd they sign? Nelson Aguilar? No offense. I mean, Nelson put in a nice sushi order when we met him in California, but you need more help.
Do you honestly think in that situation, the way everybody gets hurt in Baltimore, that Odell Beckham's going to last there?
I have no idea, but he's obviously trying really hard. I never even knew the players showed up to this thing.
Yeah, does that feel like
they showed up at the combine?
Did Odell show up at something else before? I feel like this is not a new maneuver.
Listen, I mean, he's trying to find a job, so good for him.
Also, the Rams is a new thing for Odell too.
Yeah, I saw that. The Rams are trying to offload everybody. They're not trying to bring people on board.
But if they can get cheap Odell, they know he works there.
Yeah.
I like that a little bit. I'm sorry, I know. I like that a little better because at least he knows the system and that he can fit with Matthew Stafford. Baltimore, I mean, if Odell's there getting thrown the ball by Huntley, then this is not going to be good.
I know. You and I were talking before about a possible, landing spots for Lamar, and, you can squint and you can see every team in the league, could possibly, except for maybe like 4 or 5 teams, might have an interest. And San Francisco came up. And, I don't know, you'd have to do some serious salary cap gymnastics for something like that. But the fact that they said Brock Purdy yesterday, John Lynch said that Brock Purdy is the leader in the clubhouse. If the season started today and if he was healthy, that he's the guy who's earned the snaps, to be the first team, to be the starter, rather. I mean, okay, Brock Purdy was very good in that offense, but he's also a 7th-round rookie. It's not like he's got all of this track record of being a great quarterback in the NFL. Then they've got Trey Lance, who John Lynch said is on our roster for now. For now. When you get hit with the for now, you're gone. So would the Ravens be possibly interested in getting Trey Lance? And I would be like, you can't do Trey Lance in a first-round pick. Trey Lance isn't worth a first-round pick right now because he's 2 years in and we've seen nothing.
Coming off an injury, too.
But maybe they did their due diligence on Trey Lance. Maybe they like him. He's a running quarterback like Lamar is.
Well, if they were going to go for Trey Lance, I think it would have to be separate from Lamar Jackson.
Okay, but so maybe it's 2 separate transactions, right?
Right, because the way the rules are, you can't give anything more than 2 first-round picks.
Right.
And if you're trading with a team, San Francisco, who's going to pick in the late 20s, you definitely want 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson. You're not going to do 1 first-round pick on a player. The thing about the Niners and Lamar Jackson, I think the Niners have the most expensive running back in the league.
McCaffrey,
They just put the 5th year on Brandon Ayuk. They're paying Deebo Samuel a ton. I think they're going to pay, or they have paid George Kittle a ton.
Bosa.
That's just on offense.
Javon Hargrave, they just gave a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But you're not going to have the most expensive running back, a very expensive wide receiving core, and then the most expensive quarterback in the league. You can't have all those things.
Okay, well,
there's a reason that you want There's a reason Brock Purdy's going to start there, but you need a cheap quarterback to fit that offense.
Okay, but counterpoint there, you can all in this thing to the point where one season like the Rams, and then listen, what happened with the Rams? They won the Super Bowl, but then immediately, they had to start basically selling the farm. So could you all in this, work out something with Lamar, like Deshaun Watson, quite frankly? I mean, as distasteful as it was that Watson, they manipulated his contract so he barely made any money last year because they were anticipating a suspension, which they were right about. But you do it the other for no reason, not a suspension, but you tell Lamar, we're going to guarantee you all this money, but we need you on a cheap contract this first year.
I don't know. I just can't. I know what you're saying. The salary got covered all. Well, they came into. I was just reading. They had $7 million going into free agency, one of the least amounts in the league, and they rejiggered everything so they could get Javon Hargrave. I just can't imagine $50 million a year for the next 5 years when you have to pay Bosa, Warner, Kittle. I don't think so.
I don't know if they could make it work, but I'm just saying, when I heard John Lynch say on our roster for now, I'm like, that's the kiss of death.
Also, let me ask you this. Is Lamar Jackson the best quarterback for those kind of players? I mean, is he going to distribute the ball very well to Debo needs a lot of touches. McCaffrey needs a lot of touches. All these guys need tons of touches.
I know, but think about it. But these aren't like complicated throws that he's making either. This is like, we basically paint it that anybody can run point guard for the 49ers offense. So you have the running threat, which they're going to love because Shanahan loves running the ball. And then you have all of your complement of weapons that Lamar can get the ball to them.
But Lamar is going to take 10 to 20 pass attempts out of the game plan immediately.
Maybe it's less. Maybe it's more like 5 or 6.
Then why are you paying Lamar Jackson $250 million?
Because those 5 or 6 are going to be better than what Brock Purdy gives you. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yes, if you're talking about an 8-yard pass to Christian McCaffrey, I don't think you need to pay $250 million for Lamar Jackson. See, I would go Atlanta.
But there's a reason why they traded up and got Trey Lance.
I know.
They wanted a running quarterback.
And they regret that now. But Atlanta.
I don't know.
Here's the thing, Atlanta. Yeah, they definitely regret
I know,
that.
but see, everyone wants to say Atlanta.
Right,
it's smart. Perloff, you're right. You're 100% right. They've said no.
I know they said no, but a team that has no identity and underdeveloped weapons, not a team that has the best weapons and can play anybody a quarterback and win 10 straight games. That's the last thing you need. You're like, you know what? We just won 10 games with the cheapest quarterback room in the league. Let's make it the most expensive quarterback room in the league and see what happens.
You can't strong arm. Just because we think it's a good idea, it doesn't mean you can make the Falcons do something.
Right. But my point is that it doesn't make any sense. For that one team, it makes the least amount of sense for. Well, the Chiefs, but the Niners are not far behind.
855-212-4CBS. Our pal Big Dave is in Kentucky, wants to weigh in on Rodgers and the Packers, this whole mess. What's up, Dave?
Hey, guys. Listen, McLovin, you just made my point and stole my thunder about Lamar. What I love about all this is listen to some of these talking heads, just dummying this down like Washington and whoever are just idiots, for not wanting to jump in and try to sign Lamar. To start with, anybody knows it's a matter of basic math. If you put so much money into your quarterback, if you don't have instant success, the odds on you having any sort of long-term success are just minimized because you can't afford to pay anybody else. And you can say whatever you want. I mean, I'm not saying Lamar is not a good quarterback. Lamar Jackson is not Patrick Mahomes. As much as some people want to try to make him out to be, he's won one playoff game total. He's 27 years old, but he's starting to get more injured. And like I've said before, a huge part of his success is dependent on his ability to be mobile and move, inside and outside the pocket. And that is not going to get better as he gets older.
Mm-hmm. I know, Dave, it's all good points. It's odd that there's no takers. It's still odd that there's no takers because we've seen teams overpay for far less talented guys, and they're happy to do it.
Yeah, but not this amount of money. And it seems like everything's dependent upon wanting guaranteed money and a 4 or 5 year deal. Listen,
I would say they overpaid. The Browns overpaid for Deshaun Watson.
The Browns are idiots. The Browns are idiots.
That we can agree on.
You can't use that as the comparative measure here. I mean, that has to be an outlier no matter who you ask. That's idiotic. And when in Rome, do as they do. If another ownership was to jump in and make a similar deal with Lamar Jackson, I just don't think it's a recipe for success. But good to talk to you guys. Great show as always. Thanks.
Thank you, Big Dave. Glad to talk with you. How about this one from Chris Mortensen yesterday? Sent out a couple tweets from ESPN. He said, a few teams, owners included, have discussed Lamar Jackson case. One team was hesitant because of the number of games, snaps, and practices he's missed the last 2 to 3 years versus the money invested. Also wonder whether his sleep habits and nutrition contribute to his absences. Nobody speaks ill of his character. Like, you kind of are, though. Yeah. If you're questioning his sleep habits and his nutrition, and he's a professional athlete, are you not kind of poking at the character there? That seems like a very thinly veiled character criticism.
You're poking at the professionalism, which is similar to the character. Yes. I guess I understand what he was trying to say, but you're right. It does sound like it's talking about his level of professionalism.
You know what that was a no offense, but.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny, too. NFL players, there is an obsession with sleep in that league, which makes you wonder, is it really that hard to learn the playbook? Because all they care about is getting an appropriate nap schedule.
Yes. No NBA players with the naps. I think hockey players are like this, too. Anyone who works at night like that. Yeah. Have you ever heard LeBron talk about his naps?
Oh, yeah. He loves the nap.
It's like, if you disrupt the nap, we'll just throw you in jail. I wish that somebody cared about my sleep schedule. Like, have you read the Victor Wembanyama? Like, all those profiles that came out about this guy is going to be the next big thing in the NBA, or the NBA. And, like, the whole team around him is only so concerned that he gets, like, 11 hours of sleep a night.
No, only 11, or you're saying? Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, no, that's why I do believe this report. I'm not saying it's true about Lamar Jackson, but I'll bet you teams are like wondering, wait, is this guy sleeping enough? Well, and is he eating chips or something?
Can we have like a whole team dedicated? Can someone just walk into my room at like 11:30 at night and take the phone out of my hand and throw it out the window so I actually go to sleep and I don't spend another half an hour scrolling aimlessly on whatever social media platform, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's midnight. It happens to me every night.
If you were a once-in-generation NBA talent, they would do that. And that would be awesome for you.
If someone threw my phone out the window, I'm not sleeping anyway. I'm just freaking out all night.
I'd be like, thank God. I'll get it tomorrow. Someone run it over.
You are allowed to, leave the phone in another room.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You're like, I desperately want someone to do this to me, but you can't find the discipline to do it yourself. Maybe Chris Mortensen should tweet about Maggie Gray.
Worried about my habits?
Yeah, your health habits.
Every time my phone tells me my screen time has been down, they give you those reports on Sunday, your screen time has been down, I want to pop a bottle of champagne for myself. I'm like, yes, I'm not a degenerate. Addicted to my phone. No, I'm alone on this one.
No. I've given up on that. I don't even. My screen time seems to go up every week, and it doesn't even bother me anymore.
You're immune.
I say your problem is screen time for your kid. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'll do that too. My kid's obsessed, loves TV.
Are you kidding me? My kids. They basically, the iPads and the phones are attached to their hands surgically. There's I can never reach my wife on the phone. I can always reach my daughter.
That's like a new Marvel character. You guys love the sci-fi versus fantasy that we were talking about that I was getting shamed about.
It's called the entire Gen Z. It's not, you have to be an outlier. I mean, is there anybody who's 18 years old who has ever lets the phone out of their hand?
No. You know how like Wolverine has those things that come out of his knuckles? It's just like phone hands.
Look at you with a little Marvel reference. You're growing.
I mean, that was very Wolverine. Things coming out of his knuckles. That's close enough.
Spot the lie? I think I got it. Basically. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, an important question to ask before the Final Four this weekend. We'll get to that after this CBS Sports update from Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flag.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. The Washington Commanders commanding a record price. A group that includes Magic Johnson has submitted a bid to Daniel Snyder to buy the team for $6 billion. The Broncos sail the previous record in the NFL at more than $4.5 billion. Wizards guard Bradley Beal under investigation by the league following an alleged altercation with a fan after a lost bet by that fan, who apparently yelled at the Wizards star as he was walking off the court. Beal then turned around and went over to a friend of the man and allegedly made contact with him. The Nets are shutting down Ben Simmons for the remainder of the season. He hasn't played in over a month and only appeared in 42 games after missing all of last year due to a contract dispute and then the back injury, which led to surgery last summer. The Grizzlies dropped a half game behind the Nuggets with Denver's win last night. Memphis back in action tonight against the Magic, looking to recover that half game as they go for their 7th in a row. The Heat, 7th in the East, tied with the Nets, who own the tiebreaker. They're in Toronto tonight, looking to move past Brooklyn into the final guaranteed playoff spot in the East. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. What does Stu have in store for us today? I think I'm going to go NCAA tournament because I think you would do that. I think I'm going to go with the 7'2" freshman from UConn, Donovan Clingan, who had 3 blocks against the Zags. Perloff, what do you think Stu decided on the Navy Federal?
So I pulled up the box scores of the Elite Eight to cheat. How about San Diego State's Nathan Mensah had 3 blocks in the Elite Eight. And I don't know, Mensah, Stu's kind of a brilliant guy.
Thanks,
Figured
Perloff.
the connection.
Actually, I think for the first time, Maggie is correct.
Hey! For the first time.
It is the UConn big man, Mr. Klingham. He had 3 blocks, and he helped hold Drew Timme to just 12 points on 5 of 14 shooting.
There we go. Finally, I'm on the board. It's only been a year and 3 months.
Did you look at Nate Mensah? I mean, hello.
I did. He was definitely in the running.
Was he really?
Perloff wants partial credit again.
No, I'm just curious.
No, he was. He was one of the guys. I definitely wanted to go college this week, not NBA or anything else.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when, after next week, you're not going to have college basketball? Are you going to lean towards NBA, hockey? What's your strategy here for the NFL offseason?
I guess we'll see. I'm going to probably have to try to lean NBA and try to find some defense in the little defense we see in the NBA. But
yeah, good luck when the score's 147 to 142. But yeah, I'm sure we'll find a nice defensive player.
I just can't wait till July and August when I have to start going the baseball route.
Oh, I know that's Perloff's favorite.
Web gems.
855-2124 CBS. Ramon's in Indianapolis. Got a thought on Lamar Jackson maybe to his team. What's up, Ramon?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing great.
My call. I'm just exasperated because I'm almost 60 years young. I've watched some of the crazy things going. I watched Magic Johnson get Paul Westphal fired, Norm Nixon traded. I saw Isaiah Thomas get his homeboy Mark Aguirre title, Clyde Drexler, Elijah Wine get over to Houston. Don't sit up and tell me that the last caller, what are you talking about? The San Francisco 49ers has not won a Super Bowl since 1994. We're talking about the great franchise of the 49ers. Have not won a Super Bowl since 1994. That is a long time. I'm from the Chicago area, and we haven't won since '85. That hurts even the worst.
Yep.
If Justin Fields wasn't there, I would have said they should have traded for him, but I want to give Justin Fields a chance. There is no way in the world, Perloff, Brock Purdy's going to win a Super Bowl. It doesn't happen. You need star talent to win in sports. Mahomes is a star above stars. Talking about not comparing him to Mahomes. Well, guess what? For him to have drugged that Baltimore team to the playoffs all those years with what he had, that's pretty close. Okay, you want to win, you do what the Rams did, and it's not for 1 year like Stafford, 2 years like Stafford. You're going to have him for 5. Sure, the nature of paying quarterbacks, you're going to lose a few players. But guess what? Patrick Mahomes just won with 8 rookies starting in the Super Bowl. 8 rookies. 8 rookies. I don't want to hear that. If you want to win, you do what you're supposed to do. I'm here in Indianapolis now, and this owner paid $158 million to Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Brissett, and Rivers. He wasted $158 million on those 4 guys.
Oof.
Now you tell me Lamar's not worth at least another 60, and that's the kind of money he spent on 4 bums. Thanks for taking my call.
Ramon. Yes, Perloff, would you care to respond?
They were basically 2 plays away, maybe 1 play away from winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy G. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you clearly don't need Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl in today's NFL. And let me tell you about another late-round pick who went on to win a few Super Bowls.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he lost his starting job in Michigan. He was drafted by the Montreal Expos in the 18th round. Yeah, I'm talking about Tom Brady.
We know who you were talking about.
Yeah, Ramon. And by the way, okay, if Lamar Jackson is such a sure thing to win a Super Bowl, then why hasn't he won yet in Baltimore? And why do you think Baltimore seems to be waffling on the chances that he will win there? I mean, do you think he's going to win a Super Bowl with this Ravens team?
I mean, I can see that from both sides, right? I do think they've whiffed on first-round picks. Mm-hmm. They haven't invested tons in the wide receiver room. And so I could say that too. Now, if you're going to give me the Mahomes argument, then I think Mahomes and a bunch of anybody's could be competitive. That's how good Mahomes is. But, like, I think I love to see Lamar Jackson with some better receivers and a different offensive coordinator that's, using the middle of the field more and, let's see what his arm can do. We really haven't been able to see that yet.
Okay, here's a hard truth about Mahomes even. You take Mahomes away from Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, I mean, who knows?
Well, Bieniemy's gone now.
Regardless, I'm saying Mahomes has also had some help.
Yeah.
I know he had a bunch of rookies.
Good situation.
You put Mahomes in Baltimore, I mean, who knows? And you put Lamar in Kansas City, Lamar might have his second Super Bowl ring. That's all I'm saying is there's a lot of contingencies here. I don't think for a second that San Francisco needs Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl. I think they would have probably beaten the Eagles this year if
Brock Purdy was healthy.
I mean, the Eagles' offense could not move anywhere. After the first drive, they surprised them by actually throwing on the first drive. Then it was just shut down. The rest of the game.
I know, but that game is impossible to figure out because Brock Purdy got hurt so early in the game.
Right, but it was 7-7, and the game could have been very competitive. But then the Niners lost all their quarterbacks, and it was over.
Yeah, they couldn't throw.
So I just think that you can't ignore the Niners' success last year. They were playing really, really well.
Let's get to some interesting sound from Robert Kraft because the Patriots could also be in on Lamar Jackson. Now, this could be some tea leaves. This could be some wishful thinking maybe by the media or maybe some of the Patriots fans. But one thing that Kraft had to say at the owners' meetings was about the possible heir to Bill Belichick. He's really talking up Gerard Mayo.
There's no ceiling on his ability to be a head coach, and he'll be a head coach. And I'm sure of that. I hope, he's with us. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, he kind of just said it, right?
What?
Well, he said he's going to be a head coach, and I hope it's with us. I mean...
Right. But, he's saying, but isn't he just being nice?
He might be, but when you have, the greatest coach of all time who's out here at the owners' meetings telling everyone, why should you believe in us? Well, look at the last 25 years.
Right.
Belichick has the lifetime appointment there. Of course, right? It's Belichick coaches until he doesn't want to coach anymore. Do you agree with that? Right. So... But the fact is, to have a successor and to try to think about what that could be like, it's obviously not McDaniels. He's gone. Clearly, Patricia and Judge and these other guys are not up to it. And so Gerard Mayo, I think that's kind of like getting I don't know, I'm surprised he isn't getting a little bit more.
Well, the way he said it was he's going to get a job. So I think Gerard Mayo will probably get a job next year. And I don't think that fits Belichick's time frame. And I think he's saying, I hope it's here kind of to be nice. I think he knows he's going to lose Mayo.
I don't know. See, I wonder if they're listen, stick around.
Yeah, but that never really worked. I think in the college they try that a lot. I don't think NFL, odds are Mayo, if the Patriots are good on defense, will get an offer next year. You can't say stick around because Belichick could be 6 more years.
I know, but he always said he wasn't going to coach into his mid-70s. He said famously, I'm not going to be Marv Levy. Well, here you are. Mike, our buddy in California. What's up, Mike?
Hey guys, how's it going today?
It's going well. You're throwing some crazy recipes in the chat today. I love it.
Yeah, well, they keep asking. So,
wait, Mike, what about the woolly mammoth meatball? Yay or nay for you?
I would have to throw that on a Traeger.
There you go.
Slow cook that bad boy?
Yeah, slow cook. Yeah.
What do you have on Lamar?
So here's my thing on Lamar. You kind of said it a second ago. I just kind of want to build off of it. Is yes, he's got all this talent and all this ability in the areas he's excelled in, but we haven't seen him be a complete quarterback. And because we haven't seen him be a complete quarterback, we're taking a huge risk if you go after him, because it's not just the salary cap hit. It's $200 million in an escrow account, which means you've handcuffed yourself with bonus money, so forth. Plus, you're giving up the next 2 years' worth of first-round picks. If he's not able to do it, you're looking at 4 to 5, maybe even 6 years before you can even try to rebuild that team. And if you give up those 2 first-round draft picks and all the draft equity, how are you going to put anything around him unless you've already got it? You have to be a team that's a quarterback away, and the teams that are a quarterback away don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, he's caught, Mike. It's a great point, and thanks for making it.
That was well said, because that's what I was trying to say less eloquently about the Niners, is they are a quarterback away, but the reason they're a quarterback away is they have all this money invested everywhere else.
It's a great point. Coming up next, the important deadline that's approaching for the Packers and the Jets to get a deal done. Plus, we have the one question that must be answered before the Final Four this weekend. So much to do. Glad you're along with us. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
No, I remember when I lived in a studio apartment with my husband before we were married, and literally the second best seat in our apartment was the toilet. It was like couch 1, toilet 2.
When I was first in New York City, it was a studio apartment. The toilet was not protected. It was just sitting out like in the dining room. Just like there was no room around it. So you'd be like at a dinner party or something. Excuse me for a moment. God, no, keep talking to me. I'm fine. I'm just right here. What do you mean, do I eat in front of the TV? Is there any other place to eat? We don't have a dining room. If I had a dining room, I'd rent it out to a family of 3, $3,000 a month.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
What up? Welcome to the show. We got a lot going on right now. You got Rodgers and the Packers and a he said. You got multiple bids coming in, Perloff, for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. Is it too late for us to get in on that?
You got $6 billion lying around?
Is this really? It's funny money, right? Does anyone have $6 billion in here?
Did you say in here?
Yeah, I mean, in these bids, like Magic Johnson doesn't have $6 billion.
No, but he's got his name and probably like, I don't know, $100 million or something to buy in.
So all we need is a really, really rich listener who can have us be the face of this team. I would love to own the Commanders.
Listen, think about all of the thousands of people who are listening to us right now. Is one person out there a billionaire?
Well, so Josh Harris, who's the head of the group, he's worth $7 billion. So he alone could probably just pull this off.
Wait, but that's because of the other teams he owns. Is he really? Where did he make his money?
So he also owns the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils, I believe.
And Crystal Palace in the Premier League.
Yeah, great name.
But he always has to partner with people to buy teams. So even he doesn't have the cash.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to buy the crummy Commanders.
I mean, listen, it's one thing to be worth $7 billion. To have $7 billion in cash might be a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they say? Liquid? I don't know if your $7 bills liquid.
It's like Scrooge McDuck having his own little thing,
Yeah.
just coins that he swam through.
Yeah, also, like, what a bad move by Scrooge McDuck. Like, you're that rich. Why do you have all that gold lying around?
Why are you not investing it? It's just sitting there.
Silly. You're getting
Nothing.
interest on that. Anyway.
Silly.
Wait, the one thing, if there's a Canadian dude and one team has Magic Johnson, isn't Magic Johnson getting the team? Everyone loves Magic. I feel like this isn't even a competition. It's the same money that I saw reported.
Yeah, I mean, it probably depends. I bet there's a million details in here that would probably bore the bejesus out of all of us. But yeah, I mean, you think Magic Johnson's attached.
Yeah, they're dying to get Magic Johnson in that ownership room. Would you?
Especially considering what you're coming off of. Like, first of all, anybody's going to look good after Snyder, but Magic Johnson is like a national treasure.
Yeah. And can you imagine? We're watching these owners' meetings in Phoenix. You don't want to meet
Arthur Blank is great and all these guys, but have Magic Johnson add so much celebrity power to that owner's room. It's incredible.
You think they're going to be blinded by the celebrity?
Oh, are you kidding me? They sit around and they have cocktails and they eat hors d'oeuvres and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they want to talk to Magic Johnson. I don't think they want some other rich dude in there.
Imagine how annoying it would be for Magic Johnson to get cornered by Jim Irsay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, no, here comes Jim at the cocktail party again. Just wants to talk to me about, Paul McCartney's guitar or something.
Jim Irsay's pretty fascinating. I feel like Magic might be either. You're right. You don't want to be cornered by Jim Irsay, but he might be the one owner you'd want to corner. That dude has stories. His stories have stories.
If any of them are true, it'd be amazing. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I'm sure they're all true. So the Raiders find this interesting because they obviously have Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, both the owner and the head coach sat down for Q&As with The Athletic recently. And here's one from Josh McDaniels about the quarterback position. He said, if we feel like the guy is worth it, we would do it in terms of trading up. Or he didn't say trading up, he's in terms of drafting a quarterback.
Right.
If we feel like the guy is worth it, we would do it. He's a really good player at the most important position. Is making your quarterback room stronger or strength of your team a bad thing? In our opinion, it's not. So could the Raiders be the next team to trade up? Because right now they're sitting at 7. And the way this combine season and pro day season has gone, Perloff, unless this is big head fakes from the whole draft community, it looks like those top 4 quarterbacks, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, looks like they're probably going to be off the board of the top 6? Top 5?
Maybe.
At the latest, it seems like. Maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid, but it looks like these guys are going high.
I change my mind every day on this because there's a new mock draft every day. But let me just paint one scenario. If that's the case, if those 4 quarterbacks go, that means you're getting the 3rd best non-quarterback in the entire draft. That might be really tempting to the Raiders. What if Jalen Carter, who should have been number 1 but had character issues, I mean, you might get a great. That could be the other. The Raiders say, "Ooh, Will Anderson's falling to 7, or the Alabama pass rusher." So maybe they'll see value in the non-quarterbacks because they have Jimmy G, and then get into next year's draft.
So I know that you can get into trouble anywhere. You can find trouble if you want to anywhere. But does Las Vegas have to be even a little bit more concerned? For example, like Jalen Carter, we could never hear a peep from Jalen Carter ever again. He could have paid his debt to society and going through the driving courses and the community service and all the things he has to do, the probation, everything from that accident down in Athens, Georgia. But is there more? Do the Raiders have to think about this a little bit more carefully than even any other team because you're in Las Vegas? There's
I don't know.
So much temptation. It's right there.
Is there, though? I mean, yes, but it's also one of the sleepiest NFL towns in a way, too. We have friends out there. They all live in Henderson and Somerville. It's got a bit of a...
They're not 22-year-olds.
But it's got a small-town vibe, and you really... Listen, I know there was a terribly tragic car accident out there,
Ruggs.
but you really don't have to drive in that town. You saying there's more temptation for a young person there than, say, New York or L.A. or, pretty much anywhere in the state of Florida?
No, I said you can find trouble if you're looking for it. But Vegas is a different sort of thing. There's a 24-hourness of Vegas that is just different. Listen, that's why we go there when people want to blow off steam. That's why it's one of the big tourist places in this country.
John Moran stayed up till 6 a.m. in Denver.
I know.
And got in trouble. I don't find Vegas... I think Vegas is self-contained in a way, too, that could be argued could be safer. I don't think Vegas anymore. I mean, in this day and age, I just don't think Vegas is so scary.
All right. Well, I mean, it's probably something that I would consider.
I mean, Darren Waller ran into his trouble in Baltimore.
Definitely.
And cleaned up, actually, I guess he was in Oakland. But, Darren Waller is a success story. There are a lot of, Josh Jacobs is actually, he's been up and down, but he's a guy who came in the NFL. People were a little worried about, and he's had success. Well, again,
I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm just saying you have someone like Carter who, well, okay.
Well, I'm just saying Waller and Jacobs had, character concerns, and they've been great there.
That's a great point. Yeah. So you never know. But I think they want quarterback.
Oh, and Max Crosby, too.
Yeah.
Huge huge character concerns, and he's been they have some amazing citizens. Hunter Renfrow.
They do. It's not about the individual guys. I'm not talking about in the city. It's going to be each individual person. For all those great stories you mentioned about Waller and Max Crosby, there is a Ruggs. That could have happened anywhere. I'm not saying that's a Vegas thing, but I think you have to put it in your mind as a concern.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd like to look at it recently. Obviously, what teams have gotten the most trouble? The Raiders, I don't think, are number one. I mean, obviously, the 90s Bengals were the most famous trouble team. I mean, listen, the New England Patriots stuck up in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, and they've had all sorts of issues. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I don't think the Raiders are going to say we're afraid of having Jalen Carter here.
Depends. You got to meet the guy and see what he's all about. But I don't even think Carter would probably. Not that he's not on their radar, but I think they're telling you without telling you, or telling you right here. They are saying it. I think they want a quarterback. And they didn't pay Jimmy G in terms of quarterback money. It's not all that much, It's not like crazy exorbitant. It's like $34 million guaranteed. This is not $100 million. You're not tying yourself to Garoppolo.
Absolutely. Feels to me, too, and maybe this is because they've always wanted big athletic guys. Anthony Richardson feels like the Raiders target, the traditional Raiders target.
And Levis is a similar kind of guy.
Yeah, they love
physical.
They love unique speed, though. Al Davis loved anybody who was faster than everyone in his position. Sure. He was obsessed with. So I don't know. Are you really going to trade up for Will Levis? That's the other thing. Richardson feels like a trade up guy because the ceiling's so high. I don't know if Levis feels like I'm going to trade from 7 to 4.
3,
or 7 to 3 for Will Levis. I don't know why. Does that feels like a stretch to me?
Well, I don't know. But what if Levis is sitting there and you're on the clock?
It's 7. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Stroud and Young, you think it would go 1-2. I don't think the Raiders are going to be in play for either of those guys. Yeah, it's going to be tempting. You're right. I agree with you. I think you're reading it exactly right. They do want a quarterback. But I do think there's a lot of teams who are also looking at this draft and saying, please, next year. I mean, Washington's got a lot going on, but Sam Howell, that sure says
Jacoby Brissett.
I wouldn't mind having a new owner and Caleb Williams next year. I do think there's some teams that are saying, hey, let's go Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. That feels to me like they're let's try this out. If not, next year's class is loaded.
So the one thing though about Atlanta, you're in a division. Are you going to be able to lose enough? Can you lose enough games? Look at the Panthers. They didn't have a great team last year with the revolving door quarterback, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. They couldn't lose enough because you're going to beat teams in your division because they're just not very good.
Well, the Panthers, they were in a tick of actually winning that division.
Yeah, I know, could make this hard for Atlanta. It's going to be hard to tank in the NFC South because the teams aren't very good. You're going to win a couple of those games.
That's absolutely true, but how do you read the situation? The Falcons announcing today that Desmond Ritter's definitely going to start week 1.
Yeah, it looks like a tank job.
It looks like I don't call it a tank job. I call it a risk. It's definitely a high risk, high reward. Maybe Ritter's going to be good. But if it's not, there's no downside here, right? There's nothing. If you pay a lot for Lamar Jackson and you're not good, that's bad.
Right.
But if Ritter fails, you're fine.
Well, you're irrelevant. So I don't know if that's fine. I mean, you're not you haven't addressed the position. We talk to our pal Jim Nagy all the time, right?
Yeah.
Jim Nagy is a former NFL scout for 2 decades and now runs the Senior Bowl. And he said, we were in Kansas City, obviously long before Mahomes. We were in Kansas City and we never picked a quarterback and never picked a quarterback. And 5 years later, we had never picked a quarterback and we all got fired. Because at some point, you've got to put it out there and you've got to take somebody and throw your weight behind somebody.
Right. But I don't think this is the year to do that. If you're Atlanta, it's sitting at 8. I mean, I just looked at
I'm saying for Lamar. They're not doing it for Lamar, and that doesn't look like they're doing the draft. So you might as well try to tank, but I think that's going to be an issue because I don't know if you're going to be able to lose enough games.
Well, it's going to be a great class next year because you have a lot of COVID years. I think you could be 7. If they're 8 next year, they're going to have lots of options at quarterback. Also, they're so young. I mean, I just looked up. Kyle Pitts is 22 still. He's been in the league for a while.
Feels like he's been there for a long time.
Drake London's 21. And he was really good. This is not a team. I don't know that Lamar can win there immediately. I mean, they're not really loaded on either side. So maybe give it a few years. Maybe be patient like the old days. Everybody can't win. You have to be somewhat patient in team building.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Got a lot to do today. So much news coming out of the NFL owners' meetings. Also, this important question before the Final Four. You posed this one, Perloff, and I thought it was interesting. Are you more into the men's Final Four or the women's Final Four right now? Because you've been on your, you and a lot of other people, not just you.
Yeah.
The Caitlin Clark appreciation tour.
Yeah.
Of which there are many people on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
You're one of them. I'm one of them.
LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Mr. Beast, Steph Curry. It's really
Mr.
Curry and LeBron. LeBron has been crazy about Caitlin Clark for 3 years now. And, LeBron, but it's not the only woman LeBron is. Like, LeBron likes her game, and just because he's a dad who sits at home and tweets just like me.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think he created part of this monster, but it does feel like there's a little bit of a monster going. And everybody wants to see this juggernaut South Carolina taking on this. It's a real David versus Goliath feel.
Yep. And then, so you have the women's side, which has incredible stories that it does every year, but maybe you mentioned like the celebrity sort of endorsement of Caitlin Clark has maybe pushed this to a different level.
Right. And the fact that she's going up against Dawn Staley in South Carolina, which is now known as really the powerhouse.
Yeah,
in the
like
sport.
the new UConn or Tennessee.
The new UConn, exactly.
And then on the men's side, it's unprecedented in that 3 teams are making their first ever Final Four appearance. And maybe half the people who even filled out a bracket this year wouldn't have been able to find FAU on a map if you gave them a compass.
Yeah.
So is this a year where the women's Final Four is attracting more attention than the men's Final Four? The fact we're even asking that is incredible.
Well, it is weird. Yes, attention and weight, but the women's Final Four is on a Friday night, right? The TV ratings are never going to be gigantic on a Friday night, so the men's rating will be double it. But I think the percentage-wise, it's going to probably be closer this year than usual. The funny thing, too, about these 4 teams.
Yeah. On which side?
I was on the men's side.
Yeah.
Think about the size of their home stadiums or their home arenas.
Yeah. I've been to FAU. It's not very big.
Yeah, it's one of the smallest in the country, right? And I can't imagine. I don't know where the other schools play. San Diego State is.
Yeah. I don't know much about their gym.
Is there like a big arena in San Diego? I have no idea.
No, but in Miami, I'm sure it's got to be pretty big.
The Hurricanes. Do they play where the Heat play?
No, I think they have their own arena in Coral Gables.
Yeah, so that can't be big. Is that big?
You're asking me like I've been there. I've never been there. I don't know. I don't have answers for you.
And then the UConn, I mean, what's their arena and stores? It can't be that big either.
No, I think they play where the Connecticut Sun play. So
Mohegan Sun?
Yeah, I think so. Why are you asking me? I don't know. Am I supposed to know this?
No, it's just an interesting. It is really. This men's Final Four flies in the face of logic about building facilities and having these great. I mean, UConn obviously has this huge pedigree.
Yeah.
But the other schools look very small in comparison to. And can you imagine what the locker room at Duke looks like compared to the locker room in San Diego State?
Well, I forgot who we talked to about this, but why would you ever spend another $1 on a locker room or a facility in the era of NIL?
Exactly.
I know it's the schools that would be paying for those upgrades and not, the NIL doesn't come from the school. It comes from the collective or whatever. But, I mean, I wouldn't want any more money invested in. It's not going to make a difference. We used to think it would make a difference. It's not going to. The locker room, none of that. I think a kid is going to make their decision based on coach, system, fit, NIL. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really quite explain how the coach got everyone down to Florida Atlantic. I think this guy, Dusty May, is going to be a real story this weekend. It's incredible what he did.
Yeah.
I get it. There's other Cinderellas here. To me, they're the real Cinderella. San Diego State's been great before. They've had some great players, some great teams.
Yep.
UConn's been great. Miami's Miami Hurricanes. Yeah. They're the NIL kings. Yeah, to me, the Florida Atlantic is the real underdog here. I want to get behind. Can we get behind them? Or
sure, why not?
Do we have to pick one team? I mean, our brackets have been gone forever.
They've been gone forever. What does it matter?
I think I'm going to be an owl.
That's a funny way to put it. I mean, it wouldn't be a Andrew Perloff March if you didn't jump on a bandwagon.
Yeah, also, I'm thinking about the Florida Atlantic gear is pretty awesome. So maybe down in Houston, I can sort of maybe buy a tracksuit or something.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, got an update someone big about to return. You're going to want to know about it. We'll give you all the details in 1 minute. You're listening to Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
I saw it was.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff show. All right, we are getting down to the wire here in the worst bracket.
Yeah.
The Maggie and Perloff worst bracket, competing the worst things in life. Give us an update, Maggie.
All right, we're on to the Sweet 16. Can you believe it? We're slightly behind the tournament. It's hard. We got all this NFL stuff we got to get to. So let's update 2 brackets for you. We're going to go with the Midwest and the West region right now.
Ooh, competitive one.
This has been murderer's row here. In the Midwest, we've got number 1 overall seed flight cancellations going up against the Cinderella of our tournament, 12th seeded Wet Shoes and Socks.
Ugh, the worst.
6th-seeded Getting the Wrong Order from Delivery goes up against 2nd-seeded Getting Hacked. Getting Hacked has steamrolled in this tournament. They've been winning by double digits.
As I said before, Getting Hacked doesn't quite fit. It's like a life-altering bad thing. It's different than Wet Socks.
Well, I mean, there's degrees to this thing. That's why they're seeds. Moving down to the West region, number 1 overall seed Moving takes on 13-seeded Smashed Phone Screen.
Wow.
Got multiple Cinderellas.
Smashed Phone Screen has been compared to Furman, who took out Virginia in the first round.
I know. 3rd-seeded Traffic Jams against 2nd-seeded Forgetting Your Wallet. That's just Goliaths right there. 2 heavyweights.
The
2nd
worst.
seed.
Really the worst.
3rd seed. So that's our update.
That's like the Gonzaga-UCLA game. You wanted both teams to win. They felt like both teams deserved to move on.
Traffic Jams, the worst. Forgetting Your Wallet, the worst. We'll do the other side of the bracket tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Traffic Jams is the old school thing. I've never met a person who likes being caught in traffic. Even if you don't have to be somewhere, it's still the worst.
Well, it's like the Duke, North Carolina. You know, they got the Blue Bloods in here. Traffic Jams, a little more old school, but still the worst.
Yeah, again, the identity theft, it's like what? Yeah, what's
Kinda
worse?
serious.
Wet socks or losing an arm?
It's not exactly the same, but nonetheless, we march on in our bracket of things that are the worst. You can vote at Maggie and Pearl on the Twits.
That being said, I don't think it's going to win.
Getting Hacked, you think is going to get upset by?
I don't think it makes it through. They're like UConn.
Getting the wrong order.
I'm not sure. No, I think it'll make it to the Final Four, but I don't think it'll win. It's like UConn. They have a lot of early blowouts, but that doesn't guarantee anything. I've seen a lot of metrics that UConn's decisive wins. Usually, actually, the tournament, the way it works out, the team that wins the most coming into the Final Four usually does not win the Final Four.
I thought generally it's the team that takes out the highest number of seeds on their way.
Is that it?
Almost like a strength of schedule, if you will.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I don't know who this is.
I heard there was a metric that strength of victory or the most points you win by leading to the Final Four is not an indicator at all of how you're going to do, which is because if you look at it that way, UConn is such a heavy favorite this year. But, you know, the funny thing, too, what's the team? I think it was San Diego, who barely won their first game. It was.
You're asking me to go back to round one.
I think it was
How
San
dare
Diego,
you?
San Diego
Sounds like
State.
that was a lifetime ago.
Yeah, a lot of these teams could have lost at any time. I remember my great Villanova team from '85, way back then, to beat Georgetown. They almost lost their first round game. They barely squeaked out of that, then went on a run. It's hard to predict these things, Maggie, just like the worst bracket.
You never know what's going to happen when it's Maggie and Perloff's bracket of the worst. Got something interesting for you here. Things I didn't know that I would click on. Maybe we'll call it that. Got a study here of the 10 most and 10 least faithful cities in the United States. So this is a study that factored in the population's relationship satisfaction by looking at marriage, divorce, and separation rates. In addition, the population's life satisfaction by evaluating emotional and physical well-being, work environment, and community. They also looked at the number of venues to meet for an affair, okay, and the volume of searches on Google for affair hookup websites, and also that was all considered for the rankings. I'm going to be honest, I was quite surprised with the least faithful. The top 3 according to this study, most unfaithful cities in America. Spoiler, we're going to be in one of them at the end of the week. All
Houston?
3 are in Texas. Number 1, Dallas. Number 2, Fort Worth, which is right next to Dallas. And number 3, Houston. Followed by St. Louis, Missouri, Nashville, Philadelphia, New York City, Knoxville, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. I was surprised. The top 3 in Texas? I thought you'd have a high quality of life there.
Well, Dallas, I think, is the divorce capital of the country.
Is that right?
It's a big D. Yeah. Have you ever heard that?
Like I was supposed to know that?
Well, it's good. The expression, its nickname is the Big D, and the D also stands for divorce. Yeah. It's something to do with that. Remember the show Dallas?
Vaguely. That was like in the 80s, right?
It's only one of like top 5 most famous shows in the history of television.
No, I know the guy who did 90210 also did Dallas, right?
No.
I'm sorry.
Darren Star?
No.
I don't think he did Dallas.
Spelling.
Aaron Spelling?
Spelling.
He did Dallas? Well, Dallas was like a...
Samter's shaking his head.
Do you know Dallas, right, Samter?
Of course.
How do you know Dallas?
And JR.
Yes, because it's...
Who shot JR was like the cliffhanger in TV show history.
I know, but this is like from the 80s. Carlos is shaking his head. He's never heard of this before.
I have no idea what anybody's talking about.
Yeah, but you've heard of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and you weren't alive for that.
I know, but I missed Dallas. It was like a nighttime, like a Melrose place.
So you were close.
Yeah, but it's super famous.
Aaron Spelling also did Dynasty, not Dallas.
What's the difference?
And The Love Boat, and Melrose Place, and Seventh Heaven, and Charmed.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Regardless, yeah, I kind of knew that Dallas was known as like a giant divorce city.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So,
because the Big D plays off a big divorce.
also unfaithful. And then Fort Worth, which is right next door, mentioned. And then Houston. Do you want to know the most faithful?
Sure.
I was also surprised by
Well,
this.
Let me guess.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a place where everybody's happy. So it's going to be in the Midwest or West. So one of these.
Definitely not the Northeast.
So Denver.
We're all miserable here.
Denver or Portland or some place where everybody's ridiculously happy. Minnesota. Something like that.
So the top 4 cities in
Okay.
the most faithful, all in California.
Oh, there you go. That's what I said.
Pasadena, California. Well, you said the Midwest or the West, and I believe you said Minnesota or Portland. So
Yeah, all the nice people. People in California. Okay.
So how did you nail that one?
Well, I said west of the Mississippi.
Pasadena, California is 1. Torrance, California is 2. Roseville, California is 3. And Visalia, California is 4, followed by Laredo, Texas, Montgomery, Orange, California, West Valley City, Utah, McAllen, Texas, Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
I'm kind of surprised there wouldn't be more Utah ones, because I think that if it's a deeply religious population, I don't think they're getting divorced or cheating.
Okay. I mean, you realize the flaw in this, right?
What's that?
I mean, what were the first 2 cities? Torrance and Pasadena?
Pasadena and then Torrance.
But these are all the same city. Everything you just said. I don't know that much about LA geography, but aren't they right next to each other?
Yeah, well, same with Dallas and Fort Worth.
And did they just name 4 LA suburbs out of the first 5 cities?
Maybe.
Are those technically cities? I don't get that.
Well,
that's yeah. So they just named the 4 cities in the valley. That doesn't count.
Well, I mean, they put Dallas and Fort Worth, and you didn't say anything. And
I thought it. I was like, this is just Dallas. What's that site where you look for cheating partners?
Ashley Madison.
Yeah, I think that would be the most.
Email me, by the way. How did I get on that list?
Oh, I don't want to know.
I know.
But I think that would be.
It's like from the Artie Lang show.
I think that was part of the metric, but I think that's the best way to tell what city uses Ashley Madison the most. You'd think would be the easiest answer.
Gonna be honest. If you're Googling this, amateur hour.
Yeah, that's the other
If
thing
your
too.
spouse suspects that you're cheating, the first thing they're going to do is go to your web history, or they're going to check your phone. I mean, what are we, idiots?
You can't have your web history. How do I have an affair on my wife?
I know. That's going to be your dead giveaway.
Yeah.
You got to be the dumbest person in America.
It's too obvious. In fact, your wife will think you're not having an affair because nobody having an affair would be that brazen to actually Google, how do I have an affair? That's like that dude who killed his wife and then was Googling all day long about how to bury the body.
Yeah, just all night. How do I get rid of the evidence and
Unless
all
you
this stuff?
really don't understand how this works. I know you could clear your history, but...
Also, do you have to Google how to have an affair? It doesn't mean you're going to have one. It takes 2 to tango. You got to find a willing participant.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is like, I don't know. I mean, how to? Do I have to describe this? It's like riding a bike. You just get back in there. I don't know what you mean.
Don't do it.
Is it
Where do I look for an affair?
Well, I guess now that everyone
who knows?
it's different though, because when we were single, you might meet people in bars, and now everyone meets people online.
Yeah,
so I guess that it makes it more challenging in a way. I guess,
but if you found out that your spouse was on a dating app,
right. So I think that's why you have to Google it, because it's not as simple to cheat as it used to be. You used to be able to just go on a road trip with the guys, take your wedding ring off, and go to the bar, and so I heard.
Hope and pray.
So I heard.
Yeah, right. You've been told.
Well, I don't wear a wedding ring, so you can't accuse me of taking off my wedding ring.
No, we heard that story because you were basically taking people's eyes out and pick up basketball.
Well, and now I'm going to Houston, one of the most unfaithful towns in the country.
I know. I just don't see it, but oh well.
You don't see Houston, or you don't see me being unfaithful?
I don't see you being unfaithful.
In Houston?
We could go to the whatever capital of whatever, and I think you're going to be faithful.
Luckily, man's only as faithful as his options, and so I think that you should be okay.
Ouch.
No, that's accurate. That's accurate.
I'm using his own words that he said multiple times.
I've already made plans to hang out with about 7 different dudes, all of whom I guarantee do not know any women.
That's funny.
Somebody asked me something, by the way.
Yeah.
Are there Final Four parties in Houston? I think there might be.
There usually always are.
Because actually, we were in New Orleans last year for the Final Four. We weren't invited to any parties. So I actually said to my friend, I'm like, I don't know, are there parties? Because I've never been invited to one. I've been to a bunch of Final Fours.
I've been to 10 straight.
It's not like the Super Bowl where you could go see Taylor Swift play somewhere. Are there actual Final Four
like
parties?
Those kind of things?
Yeah.
I thought you meant just like people were hanging out without you. I didn't know you meant like going to see the Chainsmokers or something.
Yeah, are there fancy parties? Because someone asked me, which parties are you going to? And I said, I played it off like, I don't know, I'm awfully busy. We have an early call time. The truth is, I didn't even know there were parties.
I didn't know either.
I know I was at a party a few years ago that One Republic was playing.
Okay, yeah, there's got to be parties like that.
In Houston. I think that was the Final Four in Houston like 4 or 5 years ago.
So, Sandra, get on this. We got a party in Houston.
Let's do it.
Google how to party in Houston.
I mean, yeah,
Google how to have an affair and how to party in Houston.
I mean, listen, the Zach Brown Band is at least playing. They play every single sports event, and DJ Khaled, they're at everything.
Yeah.
So they got to be there somewhere, right? But I'm afraid
Zach Brown Band's playing, I'm in.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are playing.
A little bit of chicken fried? Oh yeah.
Yeah, they play every sporting event. They've done at least 25 different Super Bowls.
First time I saw them was at Citi Field in New York.
Of course.
Moist in the chat saying, who has time for 2 lives? That's a good point. An affair seems like it seems like a lot of work.
With a username like that, of course he doesn't have time for 2 wives.
No, he said 2 lives.
Okay. 2.
Not 2 wives.
2 lives or 2 wives. With this username like that, he's not getting 1.
To be honest, if you like, it just shows you have a lot of time on your hands. You know? Who has time for that?
And how do you keep track of all the lies?
Well, that's why most people get caught.
Yeah.
Okay, I got some information. Already have some information on the Google machine. Oh my gosh. There's so many acts playing this weekend. So, Lil Nas X. Let's see. I think Luke Bryan will be there. Everybody's going to be there. There's tons and tons of bands.
Okay.
So we got to get invited to some of these, because last year we didn't go to a single thing, and we were in New Orleans, the cradle of music.
All right. Well, we have our mission.
Tim McGraw, Maggie Rodgers. Oh, my gosh. This is huge.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Interviewed Tim McGraw one time.
Great guy, right?
He was very nice, and he looked incredible.
Oh, that's good to know.
When I tell you, like...
Skin was well moisturized?
It was, like, beautiful. Like, this guy's got good genes.
Yeah, that's a handsome couple right there.
Are they still together?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I love him because his dad was a Philly, so that's all I care about.
855-212-4CBS, Met 2. 855-212-4227.
Oh, get out of here.
Okay.
A Met, too. Get out. Tug McGraw is a Philly. Don't give me a Met. That's like calling Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
That's like calling Nolan Ryan a Met.
He's a Met.
Tug McGraw. Oh, yeah. Wait.
He's a Met.
He's you gotta believe.
Yes. He's a Met.
He's the one who coined the term you gotta believe.
He's a Met.
You think
Thank you, Ackerman.
If Tug McGraw was in the Hall of Fame, do you think he would go with a Mets hat?
Yes, he's a Met.
Well, that is...
He's a Met. He's a Met.
Probably want a cracker? What's happening?
He's a Met.
I think Ackerman got electrocuted again. He's short-circuited.
You honestly think Tug McGraw?
He's a Met.
Okay, I'm putting this out to the public.
It sounds like we're doing a drop, but it's actually just Ackerman saying this over and over again.
Yeah,
it's
my
not
button's stuck. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
it's not a
guys.
recording. You want to go around another?
I love you, but he's a Met.
Tug McGraw.
Tug, yes.
Also, Michael in California telling us in the chat, Tim and Faith are still together. Cool. Probably because they don't live in Dallas. That's the only reason. If they were, it'd be
probably
curtains.
almost certainly do live in Dallas.
I think they live in Nashville. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Come back. We got a philosophical dilemma we're trying to figure out on the show. Get to that in just a moment after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio.
Sports Flash.
I'm not a Met. The Washington Commanders have had their share of high-profile suitors, and Magic Johnson among the latest, and part of a group that has submitted a bid to buy the team from Daniel Steiner for $6 billion. The Cleveland Guardians did well in their return for Francisco Lindor 2 years ago. One of those players acquired, Andres Gimenez, reportedly finalizing a 7-year extension worth over $106 million. The Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal, under investigation by Orlando police following an alleged incident following their loss to the Magic when a fan allegedly yelled an expletive at Beal while he was leaving the court after the fan had lost a bet. Beal turned around, allegedly, and went toward the friend of the man and allegedly made contact with him. Ben Simmons back will keep him sidelined for the rest of the season. No surgery is planned now, but he didn't play at all last year after being dealt to Brooklyn and appeared in just 42 games this year. The Celtics are trying to keep pace with the Bucks for the top spot in the East. They're 2 games back with 7 left to play and will meet the Wizards tonight in Washington, while Cleveland, 4th in the East, and won't fall, but the Cavs could still overtake the Sixers for 3rd. They're a game and a half back and take on the Hawks. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Let's get to our Casamigos shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. We love Casamigos. And the shot of the day, a little snapshot of the show, comes from earlier when our pal Phil in Pennsylvania called in. And little did we know we were going to be treated to this impersonation. Phil's in Pennsylvania. I'm told. Can we only hear your Rodgers take doing some kind of in a Chewbacca impersonation?
Well, there is no such thing. You have to actually be able to speak Wookiee.
Samter speaks Wookiee. It's okay.
Oh, we need a translator droid, too.
Can we get a little Chewbacca on the way out? Can you do Yoda?
I cannot do Yoda, but anyone who can do any kind of impersonation can do Yoda.
I think my 3-year-old kind of talks like Yoda, but not on purpose.
You mean his sentence construction or his voice?
He's like, cookie I want.
I knew you could. Not bad. Your words said no, but everything in your body said, I want to try this.
There you go. When I was being basically schooled about the difference between sci-fi and fantasy, because I'm not big into those movies and shows.
That makes it sound more negative than it actually was. They weren't trying to school you. They were just trying to educate you on. And I actually found it very instructive, that person who was describing the difference. I really didn't know the difference.
Yeah, basically that sci-fi is more like if someone's traveling through time.
It has like a scientific component, whereas Game of Thrones is more just like dragons.
Fantasy, dragons, elves.
If you see a dragon or an elf, you're in fantasy world.
Yeah.
If you see a robot or some kind of updated technology, it's sci-fi.
Yeah, but I asked about Star Wars because you got Chewbacca and then you got the traveling through time and.
Man, was I there for that debate? That was interesting.
You were waiting your whole life to have that.
No, I actually I have a brother-in-law who's a gigantic fantasy fan.
Okay.
He had read Game of Thrones long before it became a book. He loved Lord of the Rings, had read every word of that, read every Robert Jordan book. there's a gigantic world out there of fantasy nerds.
Yeah.
And the word nerd is appropriate.
I think it's embraced. It's not
well, it wasn't
pejorative.
cool. It used to get you sort of bullied years ago. Then all of a sudden it became much more cool. Like Comic-Con is a cultural touch point. You're allowed to be a nerd now.
There's like a Dungeons and Dragons movie that's getting promoted to me every time out in a basketball game.
Right. Football players play the nerdy fantasy games now.
Look at that.
I don't know if that's all play. I still think you probably get beat up a few times here and there.
I hope not. I thought this story was really interesting. So have you been following this Kansas City Chiefs super fan who wears the wolf mask and they call him Chiefsaholic?
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, this guy got like a certain amount of notoriety because he's wearing the costume, and apparently he was like placing some rather large bets on games. So it turns out Chiefsaholic, whose real name is Xavier Babudar, I believe, turns out looks like he robbed a bank in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and now he was scheduled to show up to a court date yesterday, Perloff, and he failed to appear. And not only that, but his court-ordered GPS monitor that was supposed to be worn around his ankle was found in a wooded area near an Academy Sports outdoor store in Tulsa with the strap off. So the guy's now on the lam.
Yeah.
Is he wearing the mask and stuff still? That can't be, right?
Will he show up at a game? I mean,
what if the Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl? This guy's going to stay away? No chance.
No, he's been in jail for a little while, right? Because they found out the paths to the Chiefs road games, there were banks that were getting hit between his hometown and the Chiefs road games.
This has got to be a movie. I mean, if you're making 80 for Brady, you got to make a movie about Chiefsaholic knocking over banks at every road game that they go to.
But actually, the reality of the story is I don't think nearly as funny as it seems. I'm looking at the story now. There's a picture of him. He's wearing, this funny animal mask.
Yeah.
But apparently he's a real bad dude away from the games.
Yeah, I think so, considering he's wanted by the law right now. Apparently, he attended a charity gala of Patrick Mahomes, got into a Mahomes charity gala, and even won a painting in a raffle.
Yeah.
People were wondering how he afforded this lifestyle by knocking off the savings and loan. That's how.
Yeah, now cutting off the ankle thing, whatever trouble he was in, now he's got life in prison, right?
Is that life in prison? I don't know.
I don't think you ever. First of all, he robbed a bank, so you're always looking at some serious time.
Things are not looking good. If you're trying to cut the GPS thing off of your ankle, you're at rock bottom. If you had any questions about whether or not you were rock bottom, if you're in the woods trying to cut this thing off your ankle, only can go up from here.
Yeah. Also, there are a bunch of other crimes that he's been connected to. So I think he's going away. Yeah. This was like originally kind of a feel good story. I think it's getting away.
I don't think it's feel good.
No, I thought it was like a funny story that everybody was covering. Oh, isn't it funny? This diehard fan. Now it's just getting sad, tragic.
Well, and he's going to get found at some point. I mean, you can only run for so long.
I think so, especially if you're dressed up like a Super Chiefs fan.
Well, I mean, he had to ditch the costume, right?
Yeah, I was kidding.
Yeah. I mean, but honestly, what has a better shot of you, if you're really trying to run from the law, which he shouldn't be. He should turn himself in immediately. But are you more likely to get found if you're wearing the mask or if you're not? Because now he's got mug shots and everything. He's going to be on every database across the country. Weirdly, if he keeps wearing the mask.
So you're saying he can avoid facial recognition software by wearing the Chiefs mask?
He might. I don't know.
I don't know.
Either way, the guy should turn himself in.
I don't know if you would make a great arch criminal, Maggie.
I would not. I'd make a terrible mastermind. I'm never thinking more than one or two steps ahead. I would get no chance.
You've never thought or fantasized about how you would run away from Johnny Law?
No, have you?
Oh, yeah. I have a whole plan.
Oh, wow. You want to share a couple details?
Yes.
Okay. So this is non-violent, obviously.
Yes. More like crimes against the state. I'm a rebel.
Okay.
I would ditch a car and get on a train, which I pay for in cash, go down to Philly. I have all these ways of
Why would you go to Philly? Everyone's going to be waiting for you in Philly.
Well, because that's the only place that's a problem. I don't know that many places. I go down to 30th Street.
You're familiar with Philadelphia.
But I would travel. It's very hard to go undetected because if you're in a car, you have to go through the tolls.
Yep.
or the police can look for your license plate. So you have to travel by public transportation, but you can't use your credit card.
Right.
We all know that from...
Oh, you really have thought about this.
Oh, my gosh.
You got all the cash beforehand, I'm assuming. Oh, this is from the bank you robbed.
Oh, you're right. I need cash, but you can only use cash in certain places. I watch a lot of shows, especially on Netflix, where
About getting away with crimes.
No, or it's always somebody's running from the mob and they can't use their credit card because the mob will know immediately where they are. In fact, I'm watching one right now on Netflix. It's called The Night Agent. I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
Has anyone heard of
It's about someone who's trying to evade the mob, and the mob knows when they use a credit card.
No, it's totally different.
Oh,
it's similar, but he is running from the government. Somebody inside the FBI is secretly plotting to blow up Congress, and these bad guys know whenever he uses his credit card.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was a huge spoiler, by the way.
Okay, I mean, I think I pretty much got the gist.
But you don't watch shows where they can't use their credit card? Remember the movie Midnight Run with Charles Grodin and Robert De Niro?
I do, but it was like, that's, from like 1980. You couldn't use a lot of credit cards back then anyway. We're living in a cash society back then.
There's definitely, this reminds me of one topic that I didn't want to bring up, but I got these sick tickets to a certain arena that is known for facial recognition software.
Oh, no, I know where you're going. And I couldn't even say, like, hey, why didn't you invite me? Because I don't think I'm allowed in the building.
Are we allowed to talk about this?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've talked about it before. I've been back in the building, in Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
In a bit of a tiff with the owner.
So am I allowed in there?
Yeah, you're not, like, guilty by association.
Why not? Are you sure? I'm not there yet.
No, you're going to be fine. I've actually been back in the building for a WWE event.
Oh, okay.
But I was wearing a mask.
Not
a wolf mask.
Like a medical mask.
The pandemic was still, it was still mandatory in New York City that you would have to wear a mask at certain places.
Right.
It was not exactly mandatory at the time, but I wore the mask anyway. And
to avoid facials.
Yeah, and I got in.
See, you're devious. You could avoid Johnny Law.
If that's the one step, then yeah, I made it. Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to Carlos for pinching in today. Thank you to the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers in the chat. To Leroy Butler, who joined us and was fantastic. We will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah.